Good afternoon, welcome to Sydney and welcome to the Parramatta Stadium and to the climax of the 1988 soccer season here in Australia. Today, of course, the NSL Grand Final between Marconi and Sydney, Croatia, kicking off in about an hour's time. Of course, this is the first time that the Grand Final has decided the National Championship in the National League. Quite a day ahead of us. The weather's beautiful here in Sydney. The pitch is not exactly in perfect condition, but I'm sure you've heard much of that already. Well, with me sitting in our position here as we preview the match are the two coaches, Vedran Rozic and Bertie Mariani, and we'll be speaking to Bertie and in just a moment. Bertie Mariani, Vedran Rozic back with us. Bertie, let's talk firstly about the selections today. You had a bit of a dilemma over whether to use Robbie Wheatley or Matteo Colucci. How did you decide?
I decided to use Matteo Colucci. I didn't want to disrupt the team at all. The basic team has played quite well over the past 3 or 4 weeks. So I've opted for that instead of bringing in Robbie to could cause just a slight disruption.
Vedran, of course, the big news during the week was Wally Savor's injury. Has Wally made it? Will he be playing today?
Yeah, today we will put maybe our best team this year, and that means that Wally will start.
And Lamond?
Manis also.
Manis is playing also. Okay. Vedran, you had a pretty tough time at the beginning of the season. You had a stretch of about 6 matches where you only won 1 game, and yet you're here in this grand final, and according to a lot of people, favourites today.
Yeah, but you know, during the season we have really couple troubles, but that trouble is coming when the national team play. Actually, we had 5 players all the time with national team, and after every break we have problem because that player must take a time that they again settle in the team.
Bertie, you've had a phenomenally successful first season as coach. You've got Tony Henderson out there today, who's older than you are. Fabulous season for you. Did you expect this much success first up?
Probably not. I don't think any coach starts a season without some aspirations of winning. But I definitely knew that we had the squad at the start, and I'm just happy that we've sort of realised the potential that the club has.
So, are you happy about playing Sydney, Croatia today? I mean, how do you size them up as opponents? Do you fear them particularly, or are you just saying, well, we're going to have a good football match here today?
I honestly believe the best 2 footballing sides in Australia are playing in the grand final. And I don't think there's a better compliment I can give to Sydney, Croatia at that.
Vedran, are you uncomfortable at all about playing Marconi today? Would you have preferred somebody else?
You must be confident when you play in the grand final, and I think that both teams have some wish, you know, but it's only one place for the winner, and we'll try that.
Yeah, it's true.
Be our team.
I think most people are pretty happy that these two teams have made it. Now, are you going to go out there and pile on as many goals as you can, or you're going to try to steal one and then close it up, or what?
Well, of course, we will try to play some sort of attacking soccer, and we will try to score more goals. But all depends how will Marconi play.
Well, that's true, Bertie. How your team and Vedran's team is going to play, I suppose, is largely dictated by this pitch, which has got that huge sandy, soily section in the middle. I suppose a lot of the play will be conducted on the flanks today.
You would hope so. I mean, that's obviously both directions from both camps, but then again, you've got to be able to play it wide. It's one thing of saying we should play wide, it's another of being able to play wide. And I think both teams can play. Their major game is wide through the wings.
Vedran's got 2 particularly good flankmen up front in Slater and Lamond. That must cause a bit of a headache for you.
Yeah, we got some good flankmen too. I mean, as I said, I respect Sydney, Croatia with their staff, but at the same time, I wouldn't underestimate our chances.
Okay, Vedran, what about you? You'll be using the flanks a lot. Graham Jennings, for example, will be a very important weapon for you today.
Yeah, of course, we will try to put more players up front, and also it means that our midfield player will also be including in the forward.
Bertie, Frank Farina, who is your #1 weapon, has always had his problems with Mark Jones in the past, and I'm sure that he'll be marked by Mark Jones today.
Well, you take one game as being always a problem. I don't. Frank went through a reasonably rough patch there, and unfortunately at that time Mark Jones picked him up and played quite well. I think you'll see a totally different encounter this day.
Okay, Bertie and Vedran, good luck today. I'm sure we will have a good game. And for what it's worth, I hope both of you comes out unscathed today. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Thanks very much to our two coaches, Bertie Mariani and Vedran Rozic. Well, it has been quite a long season for both teams. Let's have a look now how both of them got to the grand final. Firstly, how Sydney Croatia got to this position today.
Sydney Croatia didn't start the season well. Consistency was not reached until the team was in the home stretch of the championship. And midway through the year, they were as low as 10th place on the table. In this opening game, a debacle against Sydney Olympic on this very ground, they went down 3-0.
Abassad, fixed there by Wally Savor. It's past him, still Abassad right across the face, a goal palmed away. Martinez! Sydney Olympic take the lead. 2 minutes into the second half. Rozic called out Terry Patales. Olympic going further ahead. Problems at all there for Alan Hunter. The best of balls forward. Tom Martinez there. He's in there quickly, and this is Abassad, faced only now by Tony Franken. Abassad, and it's 3-0. Abassad.
Croatia soon regrouped, and that loss was followed by wins against Sunshine and Preston before this memorable 4-2 win over champions Apia, including Robbie Slater's first goal of the season.
Yes, Terry claiming he got the ball first there.
The replay might prove he was right.
I would agree with that.
Slater now with the free kick. Arnold! Graham Arnold! Croatia take the lead.
And then a goal each from really controversial decisions.
Bad back pass, and here's Slater. Slater! Robbie Slater, who scored on Wednesday night, scores again here tonight after 36 minutes.
Getting more younger people to our games.
Now Mark Jones sliding that one through. Ingham! Ingham! Another defensive mistake. The Croatian fans celebrate. Sean Ingham, his first.
But then, disaster again. Soon after further points were added with this 1-0 win over Adelaide City, came a 4-0 loss with a depleted side to Brisbane Lions, and 2 weeks later, Footscray's Oscar Krino and Gojce Dimovski sank Croatia 3-0, sending them to 9th position, and a week later, even worse. A 3-1 home loss to South Melbourne brought their all-time low.
Just chipping that one inside, looking there for Trimboli. Here's Postecoglou, and there's the equaliser from Angelo Postecoglou. Now Danny Wright. Away from Tony Franken, Wright. 2-1 to South Melbourne. Well, to keep that one in now, Danny Wright. Solakis completely available on that far side. This is Peter Solakis cutting that one back in. Postecoglou.
Amid whispers that coach Vedran Rozic might get the sack, there was a recovery with the first meeting against the eventual grand final opponents Marconi. Then, out of the blue, came 3 crucial wins on the trot. There were wins against St George, against Olympic, and then the deadly trio of Lamond, Arnold and Slater tore Wollongong apart.
Arnold nodding that one down into the path of Robbie Slater. Manus Lamond, he keeps the record up. Manus Lamond breaks the deadlock after 5 minutes. Whipping this one across, Skeen, misses it. Arnold, 2-0. Manus Lamond, now Petkovic, sliding that one through. Arnold on the turn. Now Slater, 3-0. Robbie Slater.
That kept Croatia in the top 5 for good. And 4 weeks later came a grand exhibition in Adelaide, in which Croatia not only displayed their skill, but also their courage. They were 2-1 down and almost out before 2 final goals in the last 3 minutes by Lamond and Arnold brought them a 3-2 victory.
Way by Alex Tobin. Rezo. Way this time by Flounders. Only as far though as Manus Lamond. Still Lamond. Lamond with the shot. There's the equaliser. Lamond gets his 8th goal of the season. We've gone out to entertain this good-sized crowd. As Kristovic plays that one in, and there's Arnold. And it could be 2 points now for Sydney, Croatia. Graham Arnold scores with less than 60 seconds to go.
In all, there were 7 occasions on which Croatia scored 3 goals or more in a match, and the last of those came significantly in a 3-2 victory in round 24 against Marconi.
Arnold, certainly there, who's tripped, and a penalty's given. So Hunter, 1-0. Clinch playing that one through now, Rezo. And he might break now for Robbie Slater. Still Slater. Slater! Robbie Slater. So this corner now to be taken by Robbie Slater. Arnold misses it, and it's an own goal.
Croatia was then poised to finish on top of the league, but blew it when it could only draw with a gritty Wollongong in the final round, and that only in the nick of time. But Croatia does know how to recover, and another good show came against South Melbourne in their first semi-final, a 2-1 victory which put them in against minor premiers Wollongong. And there the team from the Steel City gave as much iron as they got, and Croatia could only beat them on penalties. But with it, they were in their first ever grand final, on the doorstep of their first ever league championship.
Yeah, Sydney, Croatia finishing the season on a high note, even if I suppose there was a bit of luck there involved in that penalty shootout victory over Wollongong to make it into the grand final. Well, Marconi too started the season off like a house on fire. They really did have some brilliant victories early on, but then fell away, and in fact at one point whether they made it into the top 5 was even put in doubt. But they too finished the season on a very strong note indeed. Let's have a look now at how Marconi made it into the grand final.
Marconi's trek through the championship was far more consistent than that of Croatia. Only once in round 4, when they lost emphatically to South Melbourne, did they slip out of the top 5. They started the season with a whopping 6-0 win over Sunshine and did half as much damage to them again in round 13. That 3-0 win away from home started a 5-week stretch with Marconi on top of the championship table.
Now Nastevski. Now Frank Farina. Farina! 1-0. Frank Farina. Still Jeff Gunning. Nastevski again. To the near post. And goal number 2, and Nastevski.
Championship material, if you like.
Nastevski with the corner. Goal number 3 from Frank Farina. If there was any doubt about this match, it's been settled now. Farina gets his 2nd of the afternoon. It was made for him by Nastevski from the corner.
And if Croatia made a habit of knocking off champions in '88, so did Marconi, with another impressive victory over Apia in the following round.
Robbie Wheatley. 1-0 Marconi, 15 minutes into the second half. Young with the ball. The claims of handball. Now deep for Farina, and Farina sticking it in, yes! Frankie Farina has wrapped up the match with 5 minutes to play.
Though speedy marksman Frank Farina could always guarantee to be among the goals, Marconi let it all slip in round 17, when a 1-1 draw at home with South Melbourne allowed them to surrender top place, an honour they could not regain.
It all breaks down. It breaks nicely now for Frank Farina. Still Farina. Farina! South Melbourne now with plenty of players forward, right with the cross. Postecoglou with the header. That's the equaliser. Angelo Postecoglou.
Eddie Krinčević arrived for a guest spot 4 weeks later, and though his golden touches brought no goals, efforts by Farina and Fred de Jong ensured another valuable home win against Adelaide City.
Back header, Farina. Now Carter. Carter, shot is blocked. And scrambled in, and the goal stands. So they have a good position yet again. A good cross in. Fred de Jong, 2-0. Fred de Jong, who came on as a substitute with 15 minutes left to replace Eddie Krinčević. Of course, this game now beyond doubt.
Marconi did get a chance to go back to the top after a 2-0 away win over Melbourne, Croatia, but they blew it with a loss to Footscray and Warren Spink in round 23. Now the fight was on to at least grab that second or third place, but that flew out the window too. In that crucial meeting with Sydney, Croatia in round 24, a goal by Ian Gray and a penalty by Frank Farina were not enough. Marconi lost 3-2 to settle eventually for fourth place. The top 5 playoffs will be remembered by Marconi for their remarkable powers of recovery. Against Sydney Olympic, they forced a 3-1 victory on a team which did more of the domination. And in the mud and slush of Olympic Park, they also came from behind to beat the luckless South Melbourne.
Alcatholis, Ian Gray, equaliser, Ian Gray. Catholis nodding that one forward, and Azakis the player back. Now Catholis against the post, Kalajuri!
And the same thing happened to Paul Wollongong in the final step to the grand final. A second-half burst spearheaded by David Lowe and Frank Farina was enough to sink the minor premiers.
There's Nastevski and David Lowe. David Lowe sends those Marconi supporters wild, with the goal coming 9 minutes into the second half. For David Lowe, his 4th goal of the season. It's one that could be so vital. Now Catholis, still Peter Catholis. Nastevski, Farina, 2-0. Frank Farina, those Marconi fans.
So Marconi, working gallantly from 4th place, were in the grand final, poised for the league championship they won once before in 1979.
Yes, indeed, Marconi poised for the championship they have won once before. Sydney, Croatia, remember, have not won this title before in all their history. Well, joining us now are 2 men who've been watching the game as closely as any of us all through the season, our commentators Johnny Warren and Mike Hill. Gentlemen, quite a game here shaping up today. We had an excellent grand final last year. Michael, do you think it'll be as good this year?
All the ingredients are there, Les. Yes, these perhaps are the 2 of the most entertaining sides that we've seen this year on Match of the Day. So if they play to their potential, it should be a cracking final.
John, I'm sure you'd agree with that. It's been quite a season, though, in terms of innovations and things. John, we've had the clean-up campaign this season, which I think you'd agree has worked wonderfully well. The standard's been pretty high.
Yes, I think it's been a very pleasing season. The clean-up campaign has encouraged more skill. The skillful players have been protected. I think we've seen the development of so many younger players. That's always very encouraging. Particularly look at teams like South Melbourne. I mean, they played some great stuff. Didn't have 1 red card, only 15 yellows. All those things have been very, very encouraging. But I would like to see a few more changes next year. I think we should have 3 points for the win. I think that encourages more attacking play. I think spectator facilities have got to be looked at, and commentators' facilities as well.
Very important, they
but
are.
I really think that if we're going to have a national league, it should be truly national. And at the moment, it's not. When you look at the players here today, you've got 4 former Canberra players, key players in today's game. Franken, Farina, Henderson, Lamond. But places like Canberra and Perth and other centres should be brought into the National League. Either have a National League or don't have one.
You'd agree with most of those, I'm sure, Michael. What's been the most pleasurable aspect of this season for you?
I think it's the advent that the skillful players have had they've been able to play skillful soccer. I think the clean-up campaign has been very good. But again, like Johnny, I would like to see 3 points for a win. I think that might just help a little bit more attacking soccer.
I agree. Now, these 2 sides, Marconi and Sydney, Croatia, did look very good at the beginning of the season, Michael, but then fell away. Both of them fell away for a while. Did you expect them to end up here?
Both teams have got so many good players, and all good sides have a bit of a lull during the season, and both sides had their lull halfway through the season, and both sides have recaptured their early season form now. And on form, these are the 2 form sides.
Yeah, I suppose, John, you could say that Sydney, Croatia's timing has been pretty rotten in the past, hasn't it? They never seemed to do anything in the climax, but they did it this year.
Yeah, and I think we're all delighted to see them there. They play very good football, exciting players. But I think it's very hard for part-time players, particularly with so many interruptions with the national team, to maintain an even level of form throughout the season. For me, Marconi early were devastating. I just thought there was no one going to touch them. Sydney, Croatia, we thought they were gone. It's no surprise to me that they're both here. I felt a little bit sorry for South Melbourne. I thought they did so many good things this year. And of course, we mustn't forget Wollongong. But for me, in terms of attractiveness and entertaining teams, I think it's a just final that these two teams.
Okay, well, let's talk about the possible outcomes here today. Firstly, John, because of that awful bit in the pitch in the centre, most of the play will be on the flank. So in that context, how do you see the outcome?
Well, it lends itself to very open play, doesn't it? Coming to the game today, I felt Marconi, they're a little bit more mature. They're just approaching their peak form at the right time. I favoured them. But getting here today and first seeing the pitch, I think that will favour Croatia because they bypass it a lot. Rozic and Hunter hit long balls and so on. So I think it's going to favour Croatia. And also the omission of Wheatley, I feel that's a mistake by Marconi. I think Croatia can capitalise on it. So now I lean towards Croatia perhaps winning this afternoon.
Michael, my belief is that with those three front runners, Lamond, Slater and of course Arnold in the middle, but particularly the other two on the flanks, on their day they're quite unstoppable, aren't they?
They certainly are, and they're going to enjoy the flanks here this afternoon. That's where the grass is, that's where the pitch is reasonably level. And I think for Lamond and Slater, they're going to enjoy it. And I think Marconi might have made a mistake in bringing Colucci. I think he might get exposed to speed this afternoon by Wheatley and Lamond.
All right, tips?
I think after 90 minutes you'd go for Croatia. If it goes into extra time, I'll go for Marconi.
John?
He's have it each way bet, isn't he? I wouldn't know really. I would lean against towards Croatia for those reasons, the state of the pitch, and I think leaving Wheatley out's a mistake. We may be proved wrong, of course.
Okay, well, enjoy the game today. Johnny Warren and Mike Hill. Thanks a lot. Okay, well, we have mentioned the state of the pitch this afternoon, and of course the man in the middle who'll be striding across it most of the way will be referee Chris Bambridge, and he's with our sideline reporter Andy Pascalidis now. Let's check on the state of the pitch with Andy.
Thanks, Les. And down here on the pitch, I have a somewhat relaxed referee today, Chris Bambridge. Well, welcome to our big coverage today of the soccer, Chris.
Thanks,
but
Andy.
I've got to ask you up front, there's been a lot of controversy about the state of the pitch. How do you see it?
I had a good look at the pitch good 3/4 of an hour ago. I'm just a little bit disappointed for the sake of the players and the crowd that the bumpiness in the pitch I don't think is going to contribute anything to good soccer this afternoon. I'm just very pleased that there are two teams that have played soccer throughout the season and done the right thing by the game, and hopefully that'll continue this afternoon. But it isn't as good as I would have liked it to have been now.
Just having a look at the pitch down here, the condition obviously is going to be very difficult for controlled play in the middle.
Yes.
Now with 50-50 challenges, it's going to be very hard for you to keep a bit of control over that aspect of the play.
Sure. I think a lot of common sense is going to have to apply this afternoon. If I see anything that I believe is untoward, it'll be dealt with appropriately.
We know grand finals are very important for players, but what does a referee go through before a big game like this one?
I think he goes through much the same as the players do, actually. The only difference being that a referee has to do it on his own instead of with a group of people, at least until an hour before the kick-off, when he's probably joined by the two linesmen and a fourth official. Then you've got a bit of camaraderie, but it's quite a lonely job on the outside.
I'm going to put you in a spot now, Chris.
Yes.
Prediction?
Well, I think Australia will win the gold medal in Seoul.
Thanks a lot, Chris Bambridge.
My pleasure.
Back to you, Les.
Thank you, Andy. Andy with Chris Bambridge, who's always a man who can keep his composure and his sense of humour. Okay, well, we're going to do a lot more this afternoon on the way to the grand final. We've got some tips to come for you from the various personalities of the game, and later on we'll be talking, of course, to our panellists, who will be Eddie Thompson and Terry Greedy. But first, this station break. We'll be back in a moment. And welcome back to Parramatta Stadium, and I might tell you just by way of news that in the early match today, in the National Youth League Grand Final, Marconi defeated Sunshine George Cross 2-1, but quite a nail-biter, that match too, and we'll show you highlights of that a little later on. Well, as you know, the most difficult job in the world is to tip winners, and far from us giving a lot of tips here this afternoon, we decided to put the onus on a number of other personalities in the game. So let's show you this package of tips from some of the people you know in soccer.
I lean towards Croatia, but obviously my heart wants Marconi to win. But, it can go either way.
Very close, but I expect Croatia to win.
I think Croatia must come into, they've had a week's rest. I think they had a few injuries when they played us. And I think a week's rest will give them the time to get a few players well.
Hard to say. Close game. Croatia.
Croatia. Recent form in your front line.
Well, I said at the weekend this was the grand final, so Marconi will win the grand final. Pretty bold statement. Yes, whoever won today would win the grand final. Definitely.
Well, we can't comment as referees, I'm afraid.
One of the two teams, the team that plays the better football, hopefully, will win the grand final. So it's either going to be Croatia or Marconi.
I reckon Marconi will win because they beat us 6-0 and they beat us 3-0, so I reckon they'll do it.
Yeah, I reckon if they play well, Marconi should win. I find them a harder team to play against anyhow.
It's very, very hard to pick the winner. I have to be a fool to say yes, Croatia will win or Marconi will win. I love both clubs. I've been with Marconi for 9 years and I respect Croatia also.
I think it will be a great grand final because they're both marvellous teams, but I have to say Marconi.
I think Marconi will get it. I think they've come through the finals and the semi-finals in better form than Croatia. Croatia have gone to extra time in both games and won it on penalties.
Oh no, I think that Croatia is the better team. With everyone suddenly in good team spirit and then good work with excellent working rate.
My tip Marconi, all right? They got more experience. And they've been having a lot of luck the last few weeks, so I think they're going to win anyway.
I reckon it'll be Sydney Croatia. I'll put my money on them. Mark Jones will put Farina out of the game, I think, and that'll be the key to it all.
Well, some very brave men putting their neck on the chopping block. Who's going to win today's grand final? Sydney Croatia or Marconi? Okay, well, we've got a team of reporters roaming around the ground today. And of course, one of the difficult places to get into is the dressing rooms. But Kyle Patterson, our reporter, did manage to get into the Marconi dressing room. He's there now. Let's go to Kyle, who's with Paul Carter.
Well, thanks, Les. Here in the Marconi dressing room, there was one very disappointed Marconi player. Robbie Wheatley claims that he was told he was definitely playing the grand final, only to be told now before that he was out. One man who will be on the field in the starting lineup is Paul Carter. You've got the job today of chasing around Robbie Slater, your old chum from Picnic Point.
Yeah, Robbie's a tremendous player, you know. It's just up to me to keep my concentration up. I mean, if you let it lapse for a second, he'll just annihilate you.
There's a funny story there that in your junior days, you in fact gave Robbie Slater a few tips on how to dribble. Now that might come back to haunt you today.
Not if he dribbles the way I do, I don't think, Kyle. No, Robbie and I grew up together and, you know, we're great mates and I just wish him all the best today. And I mean, he might haunt me, I don't know, but I just keep my fingers crossed.
What part of his game will worry you the most? He's very quick, he's very strong, he's elusive. How do you overcome that?
Oh, I think by not letting him turn on me, you know. I mean, if he faces you one-on-one, he'll distinctly have the advantage on me. If I can keep his back on me all the time, well, I should be all right.
Just finally on that selection point, Matteo Colucci comes in, or holds his spot rather, ahead of Robbie Wheatley. What difference will that make to the Marconi backline?
Oh, well, Matteo's been playing for the last few weeks. I mean, I'm personally very disappointed for Robbie. I mean, it just shows you what sort of a good side we have to such a quality player on the bench, you know. But, you know, that's the way it is. I don't think it'll make that much difference.
All right, Paul, all the best today in your battle with Robbie Slater and with the Croatia forward line.
Thanks very much.
OK, Les, so we'll talk to Robbie Wheatley later. He's obviously very disappointed now, but just for the moment, back to you.
Thank you, Kyle Patterson, there with Paul Carter, and some disappointments in the Marconi dressing room, particularly and understandably from Robbie Wheatley. Well, Terry Greedy and Eddie Thompson have joined us now. Let's talk about that for a moment. Robbie Wheatley, the man put on the bench, Tomo, and Matteo Colucci, the man brought in. What do you think the tactical reason for that is?
Well, I'm not really too sure, Les, because Robert Wheatley's a tried and tested defender, and certainly with Croatia playing with three really good strikers, I thought Wheatley would be certain to play, but obviously Bertie sees a flaw in Croatia in the midfield and he's putting Colucci in there.
Terry, Paul Carter did say in that report that Colucci has been the man who was in that position for the last few weeks, so I suppose cohesion might be one reason he's been retained.
I don't think they can really say it's cohesion because Robert Wheatley's probably played more games there this year than Colucci, and I think that Marconi will lose a little bit at the back by not having Wheatley there. Experienced defender, he knows Slater's game inside out, and I think Slater's a danger man today for Marconi, and unless they can shackle him, I'd say that Lamond and Arnold will get quite a bit of service from that right side.
Okay, well, we'll talk more about today's game and the likely outcome a little later. But what about the season, Terry? How do you look back on it as a spectator, which you mostly were, of course?
Thanks very much, Len. Yeah, as a spectator, I thought it was a tremendous year. As far as the quality of soccer that we saw this year, I think it's improved considerably, maybe because of the clampdown by referees. I thought they tended to slack it off a bit with their control towards the end of the year. There was a few unsavoury incidents creeping into the game, but I think the league's really gone ahead leaps and bounds, and hopefully they can capitalise on that next year.
Tomo, how did you see it? Because you were one of the prime movers and very much a key figure in the clean-up campaign as it started at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I'm delighted, Les. It did happen because the game the year before was virtually a kicking match every week, but with the referees certainly booking people and sending them off. I agree with Terry. I think they dropped off a bit towards the end of the season. I think then you could virtually pick that the most skillful teams were going to win games, and I think proof of that is today. Marconi and Croatia have got the best two squads, the most skillful squads in the league, apart from Olympic, and they've done well.
Yes, they did. Tomo, what about in the future? Because obviously there are more innovations needed. Now, summer soccer looks like it's coming in. I should say summer evening soccer, so we don't get too confused about that. And what about other things, the 3 points for a win?
Yeah, I should think so, Les. We tried it one year, and because there wasn't any extra goals scored, but the games were much better to watch when two teams are still going. If they were locked one each at near the end of a game, two teams still try to win the game, which makes it open, exciting soccer. And I mean, that's what everybody wants to see.
Terry, what about this idea that's becoming the trend overseas now, which is that there are no drawn games? In fact, every drawn game is decided by a penalty shootout. That puts a little bit of pressure on goalkeepers, of course.
Yeah, it also puts a lot of pressure on the player with the ball, though. As you see in most penalty shootouts, it's the experienced players that are missing shots, as well as the inexperienced players taking the penalties. I think it's a great idea. The spectators come along to see goals, and if that's a way of getting more goals, I think great idea.
It's particularly important in our country, isn't it, where we're trying to recruit people who have not seen soccer before, who wouldn't know how to appreciate a 0-0 draw, for example.
Well, that's right. I think the summer soccer idea, I think they're clutching at straws there. There's far too much wrong with the game at the moment. With the season change, I don't think it's going to solve all the problems. I think what they've got to do is start looking at promotion, start organising on a club basis first to promote their own club, and by promoting each club in their area, district, whatever, I think that's the way to go to get the crowds back. And once you get the crowds back, once they come to a few games, I think they'll learn to appreciate the game in Australia much more.
You'd agree with that, Thomas?
I disagree with Terry. I think summer soccer, is the answer at night time. I mean, I've been saying it for 5 years, 6 years. We've tried 2 divisions, we've tried 3 points, we've tried everything. The actual change away from the actual playing season, and not clashing with rugby league or Aussie rules, because at the beginning of the season we had our biggest crowds. The spectator comfort's tremendous. I mean, trying to get somebody to come into Melbourne or Sydney in June, July to watch a game of soccer, get them on a summer's night, they'll turn up for sure.
Okay, well, I got you on the hobby horse there, Tomo. Thanks a lot. Thanks, fellas. We'll rejoin you in just a moment. Andy Pascalidis is still roving around the ground. He's with Socceroo Alan Davidson. Let's cross to Andy.
Thanks, Les. Well, down here on the sideline, there's one man, aside from myself, who'd love to be playing today. Socceroo defender Alan Davidson. Great atmosphere down here on the sideline, isn't it?
Excellent, excellent with the Croatian supporters.
How do you think the match will go today?
Well, my loyalty is with Sydney, Croatia, but it stands to be an explosive game. I like to think Sydney, Croatia got the speed up front and possibly the little edge there, but Nastevski and Catholis in midfield's an edge for Marconi, I think, as well.
You're saying Cat's an edge as well because he's your old Socceroo teammate?
No, I think Cat's really performing well at the moment. The last few games, he's been very sort of vital to the team's performances.
I'd say another aspect of the game today that might be a touch worrying for you are injuries to some of the Socceroo players as well.
Now, that's the unfortunate thing about any contact sport, but they'll be just playing it normally like they would in any game, and obviously that'll be in their mind, but, let's hope no one gets injured.
Wally Savor's got a point to prove too, hasn't he?
Well, I'm a bit disappointed for Wally's sake, being injured at a vital time, but I hope, hope he comes through the game excellent with no problems,
OK, Alan, enjoy the game, as we all will, and back to Les Murray.
Thank you, Andy, and an interested spectator, Alan Davidson. Good to see the Socceroos out here, and they, of course, are off next week to the Olympic Games. Well, as I mentioned to you earlier, quite a rip-roaring Youth League grand final here between Marconi and Sunshine George Cross. Let's go to the highlights with Marconi in the green shirts.
Overage players in there. There's the ball inside now. It's Ocon. He's trying his luck, not bad at all. The goalkeeper almost spilled it. And Talia recovered well enough. Klaus Ocon had the shot. But there's the shot again. The referee ducked. Talia looked like he had it covered. And he spilled it and recovered, luckily for him. So 20 minutes have elapsed. In comes the corner by Hasler. A deep one again. Got to McCulloch, missed it. There's a free chance. The shot, the hesitation, but a penalty. Yes, there's a penalty. Lawrence Kidner was attempting to shoot. And there's the penalty. And Hughes with an absolutely brilliant save. But the referee, I think, has ruled that Hughes moved. Now, there's a bit of controversy again. Hughes might get booked, the captain. But, gee, I thought it was a fair save. Just a fraction. He just moved. Kalkalevis comes in, and he just squeezes it past Brett Hughes. So 1-0 Sunshine George Cross. 22 minutes have gone in. Inside, Lovan. Nice little jinking run. Setting himself up for the shot, and a good one. Worth the effort from there, from the youngster, Fiat Lovan. Sunshine back on the ball. Alivizos. Clark's onside. There's the ball for Gary Clark. And now threading it through for Hasler. Koptes is there, but Hasler gets around him. Still Hasler. The shot, great save by Hughes and cleared away by Mamoni. Still the pressure on. Colajury. Nice little turn inside. Vanegas has come through, but he can't go on. Well, there was calls there for a foul on Vanegas, but it was a nicely conceived move there by Vince Colajury. You'll see on the replay, Colajury had laid the ball through Vanegas well. The goalkeeper made a bit of a push for him, and they conceded a penalty in the first half. And one must say, and Talia was under pressure there again, but he recovered sufficiently. Now Sunshine, and it's bounced off the referee. Play on Papadopoulos and Hughes. A great save. Well, good turn, Jeffrey Gunning. Nice run, lovely ball, Colajury. They need some backup in the centre. Colajury and George Alivizos, and it's Vince Colajury. He gets the ball inside. Gunning shoots, great goal. Jeffrey Gunning has done it 35 minutes into the second half. The combination of Vince Colajury. The 2 minutes of normal time plus stoppages left. 1-1 scoreline. And looks like we might be heading for extra time. Klaus Ocon. Massimo through ball. Colajury's onside. He can put it away. He does! Vince Colajury has done it for Marconi. With 2 minutes of play left in the match, Vince Colajury made the run through the centre. Well, it was a lovely ball through. Colajury followed it. He was dropped from first grade today, and it looks like he's done it for the youth team. They lead by 2-1.
Marconi, the National Youth League champions for 1988. I suppose their seniors will be hoping they can emulate that. Vince Colajury, who, by the way, asked for a full game today, asked not to be put on the bench, scoring the winning goal there. Well, Kyle Patterson has now moved into the Sydney, Croatia dressing room. He's with Alan Hunter. Let's cross to Kyle.
Well, thanks, Les. Well, here in the Croatia dressing room is like a scene out of General Hospital. A lot of players getting last-minute treatment. One of them is Alan Hunter, who's got a back injury. How is your back, big Alan?
Shouldn't be a problem when I get out on the pitch, you know. It's a big game. I've waited a long time for it, so I don't think a back injury's going to stop me.
Aren't Croatia taking a big risk? There's yourself, Wally, Savor, Tony Franken, Lamond. A lot of people carrying injuries.
Oh, they took a big risk in buying me for a start, so I don't think they're too worried about today. You know, the boys are ready for a win, and you know we've done the right thing up till now, so I think we can carry on and get a gold medal.
There's some speculation that the pitch, because Croatia tends to play long balls, that rough patch in the midfield won't worry you so much. Is that the case?
Well, yeah, we can play long balls, but we can also play football as well, and we've done that in the last couple of games, so we'll just have to adapt to the type of game that'll beat Marconi.
And what about the danger men? Jonesy will obviously pick up Frank Farina. What will your job be today?
Oh, I'll probably pick up Lowe for a while there, but I think they'll have to worry about our danger men more than we'll have to worry about theirs. So hopefully, you know, we can do it.
All right, Big Al, thanks for your time.
No
Good luck.
Thanks.
One thing to report, Les, is that Wally Savor didn't want to talk to us today. He wants to go out there and prove a point to Frank Arrock, to the Australian Olympic Federation, to a lot of people. He wants to prove his point on the field. He wants to get through the game, and Wally tells me he'll have plenty to say if Croatia win and if he gets through, so we'll look forward to talking to him afterwards. Just for now, Les, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Carl. And Wally Savor understandably wanting to prove a point about whether he's fit or not, and whether he would have been fit for that Olympic side. Eddie Thompson, that's a bit of a tragedy for Wally. He was left out. Let's just explain that for the moment, because there might be some misunderstandings as to why Wally was actually left out, even though he's playing today.
Yeah. Well, what actually happened was that we had to give the names into FIFA, and at the time we gave the names into FIFA, the physio at the AIS plus the Brian Corrigan, and they thought that Wally wouldn't be fit for the Olympic Games. They didn't think he'd be fit enough to play, and Frank really had to make a decision there and then. Either that or take a chance and maybe end up with 19 players.
And there's absolutely no way that deadline could be moved, that can be changed now?
No, there's no way they can do it.
Whose rule is that? The Olympic Federation?
It's actually to do with FIFA, I think, Les. I'm almost sure it's a FIFA ruling that the names must go to FIFA so many days before the tournament.
Okay.
Because FIFA still is involved, even though it's an Olympic Games.
Right. Terry, we spoke about Wally Savor, about Matteo Colucci. A man who's coming back in the starting lineup for Sydney Croatia today is Lamond, who has really come of age this year. He's been much more consistent and quite a frightening figure in most of the games he's played.
That's right. Menace has always had the skill. His finishing let him down quite a bit, and I think this year he started to show a bit more composure once he gets into the box and beats the defender, and as a consequence he's put a lot more goals away this year.
Eddie, is he a difficult man to neutralise because he's very unpredictable with all his flair?
I felt sorry for Menace a year ago because he got a tag of $35,000 on his head, and the poor kid wasn't ready for it. But now he's blossoming, and I mean, Lamond is always going to do the unexpected, Les. So he's a difficult man. You can't say guide him to the outside, guide him to the inside, because you don't know what way he's ever. He can go both inside, outside the fullback. The only thing that's lacking with Menace is his final ball, his actual through ball or his cross. But he's improving that, Les. Next year he'll be probably one of the best players in the league.
Okay, Tom. Well, let's talk now about tactics. Let's, for a start, put you in the shoes of Vedran Rozic. How would you play the game today?
I think if you're playing against Vedran, if I was Vedran, I would play with Arnold, but I'd play him in a deep line game that Vedran likes. And really, they've got to either call them stays with Arnold and comes into midfield and exposes Henderson to both Lamond and Slater with their speed. Either that or Arnold coming back into midfield and they keep calling him at the back. Arnold can just about dictate the midfield because he's not going to have anybody marking him. But I mean, the dangers are obviously Farina, but Mark Jones has done a good job in him so far. Alan Hunter picking up David Lowe. Really, they'll be looking for goals coming from either Catlin or Nastevski from midfield.
Yes, Terry, Mark Jones did do a good job on Frank Farina, but still he must be a pretty hard man to contain.
Very underrated player, Mark Jones. The 2 or 3 meetings that they've had, Farina and Jones, he's come out on top, I think, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes today. I think Frank will be keyed up for a big game before the Olympics, and he'll have his hands full. I think Jones is about the only player in the back four there for Croatia that can keep up with Farina. I think Vedran might be exposed a little bit if David Lowe can hold the ball up, play a few balls through for Farina. I think Vedran might have his work cut out chasing down Farina.
That's true. Now I know that you're tipping Marconi to win. I'll let the cat out of the bag here, Terry. How are you going to play the game if you're Bernie Mariani?
Well, I think Bernie's going to try and push through the middle. They have a more composed build-up than Croatia. The pitch will probably suit Croatia's game much more because of the disgraceful service in the middle section. I can see Marconi playing wide down the wings and I think David Lowe will come into his own here today, and I think he'll have a big bearing on the game.
Going through the middle is not such a good idea on this pitch, though, is it, Tom?
I mean, it's a disgrace, lads. The playing surface for such, you know, talented players, Nastevski, Catlin, Ian Gray, and then Petkovic, Graham Jennings, it's impossible. You'll find that really in these conditions I've got to bypass the midfield. So you'll see a lot of long balls from Vedran and Hunter, and Tony Henderson will be doing the same for Marconi. And this is where maybe Fred Dujong might be playing an important part, even though he's on the bench, because he's so tall.
Okay, just quickly, Terry, the two goalkeepers today, you're an expert at that, Catlin and Franken. What do you think?
Thanks very much, Les. A lot of people have forgotten.
I didn't say you were better than them.
Actually, they've both been the four goalkeepers of the league at the moment. Bobby Catlin the last couple of weeks has had a tremendous game during the top flight series. I can see him carrying on where he left off last week, and I'm quite looking forward to watching both of them today.
Okay, Terry, Tomo, thank you. Okay, the teams are coming out onto the field, almost ready to come out onto the field. Let's take a station break and then have the toss flip of the coin for the start of the match. Here's the station break. And welcome back to the Parramatta Stadium, where the kickoff is merely seconds away. Let's stand by now for the national anthem. Marconi and Sydney, Croatia, and you can hear the fans chanting in the background about the contest, the 1988 National Soccer League Championship. Last year, of course, a good game final between St George and Apia. The year before that, we saw one involving, of course, Sydney Olympic and Adelaide City. So this ground has been very good as far as soccer's grand finals have been concerned. Okay, as you can see in the background, or you saw in that earlier shot, quite a good crowd here today and quite an atmosphere. Let's go to Andy Pascalidis now on the pitch.
Thank you, Les. Well, down here on the pitch, the excitement, it's unbelievable. It's one of the best games, pre-match atmospheres I've ever seen, and I've only been involved in the code for about 8 or 9 years. And Chris Bainbridge at the moment is waiting to get the two captains out here in the middle. It's a special day for quite a few players, and of course Tony Henderson, as you've already updated, this is the big one. He's going out, retiring after this game. Chris, what is the feeling? What's going through your mind right now?
Many things, too many to tell you.
Come on, you can fill us in, mate, come on.
I know, I'm looking forward to this as much as those people out there are, I'm sure.
Where are these two captains? We're waiting here. They're all posing for photos and all the various sorts of things, and it's really a great turnout. Did you expect a crowd like this?
I'm very pleased with such a good crowd. I think the National Soccer League should be pleased with the crowd too. Yep.
So there you have it. Referee Chris Bainbridge is now calling across the two captains. Vedran, Rozic, I know we've spoken to you earlier before. How do you feel right now, the big one?
I feel great, you know, a little nervous. Just expect the game, and we will try our the best.
You've got a lot of supporters behind that goal.
Ah, yeah.
What about your son? Your son's out there too?
Yeah, properly, somewhere in the crowd, yeah.
All the best, Vedran. Tony Henderson. Come over here, Tony Henderson. What have you got to say? This could be one of your last appearances on SBS.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's my last one, so you better make the most of it.
I thought you might be taking my job next year.
Was it for grabs? I'll take it if you want me to, mate. I'm too busy though.
How important is this game, honestly?
Oh, mate, it's life and death. It's what Bill Shankly said, you know, it's more important than anything. So we've got to win today. Just for those people up there, and we're going out for it.
Okay, we'll get Chris Bainbridge now to toss the coin, if you could, Chris. Poor old Vedran's being swapped by our crew.
Have a good game.
Number 12, Robbie Wheatley, and number 13, Fred Jean.
It's up to you.
Our referee for our NSL Grand Final is Mr. Stanbridge from Melbourne.
So there you have it. Both teams will stay in the same position as they are. We'll go back now to the central commentary position.
Get us underway. The green shirts, the white shorts in this first half. They're kicking from left to right. Sydney, Croatia, their familiar yellow shirts and white shorts, or red shirts, one should say. Now David Lowe as Marconi mount the first attack. And that one's cut out by Petkovic. Now Graham Arnold. Forward by Calderan. First 5 minutes are going to be vital for both sides. As both sides try to settle. Now Henderson. Not the cleanest of clearances. That got an awkward bubble then. Now Shane Clinch trying to lay this one through. Here's Lamond. And he's upended. So the first free kick goes to Sydney, Croatia. Referee Chris Bambridge insisting the free kick is taken from the correct position. Lamond, who's been worried by injury for the last month or so. A player who's had such a fine season for Sydney, Croatia. So Bobby Catlin trying to ensure that he's got a good view of the ball. Graham Arnold's the player over it for Sydney, Croatia. Marconi have pulled everybody back with the exception of Frank Farina. So Graham Arnold, charged down by Lowe, and the shot coming in from Graham Jennings screws off the side of his boot and goes for a throw-in. Graham Jennings, who scored earlier this season, his first goal, in fact, since about 1982. Gerry Gomez takes the throw. Forward by Clinch, helped on its way there by Arnold. Now Petkovic spreading it wide, looking for Robbie Slater. Henderson was the player coming across. Reading that situation to perfection, Tony Henderson. 296 matches now in the National Soccer League with the start of this grand final. So a throw for Croatia on that far side. Slater. And stopped there by Paul Carter. Those two great friends off the park, Paul Carter and Robbie Slater. They'll be marking each other this afternoon. There'll be no love lost. For Sydney, Croatia, away there by Henderson. Now Petkovic, now Clinch. Jennings lifting that one forward. Henderson there for Marconi, hooking that one away. And now Frank Farina. Fond memories of this ground. Frank Farina, his last appearance here was for Australia against Saudi Arabia. He scored twice then. Marconi have got a throw in. Came off of Graham Arnold. Now Farina. So Frank Farina twisting and turning. Ian Gray. Through the legs of Arnold. Good challenge there from Wally Savor. Tony Franken gets his first touch of the match ball. So the crowd coming in here at the Parramatta Stadium. Nastevski trying to spread it wide. It came off the back of David Lowe, but falls nicely for him in the end. Now Peter Catholis, who of course played in last year's grand final when he was a member of the RPS side that lost to St George. Wasn't a happy afternoon for Peter Catholis. Looking for a bigger match this afternoon. Now Lowe. Catholis pushed off the ball there by Robbie Slater. A free kick to Marconi. Robbie Slater pushing the player off the ball there and conceding this free kick. And this is just about the right distance for either Nastevski or Gray. Nastevski, who's such a good free kick expert, can make the ball dip and swerve, and Ian Gray has got such a forceful shot. So Tony Franken ensuring that he's got a good view of this. Croatia have pulled everybody back. Nastevski laying that one off. Catholis, shots charged down, and a corner is given. So the first corner of the afternoon goes to Marconi. Bruno Vidic there, the ex-Sydney Croatia player, now manager of the side. He's done well this season. And Time now for the Marconi supporters to get behind their side. This corner taken by Peter Catholis. Way there by Vedran Rozic. Now Ian Gray. And that's much too high from Ian Gray. Ian Gray, who scored 6 goals this season, but Johnny, he really got underneath this one.
Yes, too much underneath it. Perfect time to strike, but just a little bit too anxious. The pressure put on him by Slater there made him kick a bit early. But neither side settled yet. There's a lot of tension out there, and it's to be expected. But his good defending by Slater just puts a little bit more pressure on Gray and makes him strike the ball too early to get over the top of it to be a threat to Franken's goal. But some very interesting duels out there.
Here's Arnold getting around Henderson, and Bobby Catlin there right on the edge of his 18-yard box. Graham Arnold there coming from deep, and that's where he's so dangerous. Now Catholis. Still Peter Catholis doing well there to get away from 2 Croatia players. Now Gray forward. Gray again. He goes out of play, so a throw for Sydney Croatia on the far side. These 2 teams have met 3 times in the playoff series in the past. Sydney Croatia winning 1, Marconi have won the other 2. And in fact, in all matches in the National Soccer League, they've met 13 times, with Marconi winning 5, Croatia 4, and 4 matches have finished in draws. Now Lamond. Throwing that one back for Slater, not getting quite enough weight on the ball. A throw on the far side now, as Paul Carter was the player who made the challenge. Slater upended by Paul Carter. Free kick for Sydney Croatia. Robbie Slater, 5 goals so far this season. So Mark Jones has moved forward. Slater with this free kick. Off the head there of Ian Gray. Now Slater trying to nod that one back for Clinch. Catholis got in there quickly. And Shane Clinch there using his arm. So a free kick to Marconi. Bertie Mariani, the youngest coach in the National Soccer League, taking his side to 4th position in the League Championship this year. And now into the grand final in his first full season as coach. Petkovic. Good turn there from Petkovic as it was pulled back by Catholis. Referee allowing the advantage, and it's good refereeing from Chris Bambridge. Now Slater. Petkovic. And Tony Henderson reading the situation to perfection. Right spot at the right time. Catholis now for Marconi. Hunter. And Hunter will be flying out with the Socceroos next Saturday evening. So Franken with the clearance. Colucci. Now Lamond. Slater. Robbie Slater. Nice again by Paul Carter. Graham Jennings letting the ball run. Nastevski was in there first. Now Farina trying to release David Lowe, and a missed kick there by Hunter. Here's David Lowe. Still David Lowe trying to cut this one back, and the situation rescued by Mark Jones. But it all started, John, with a missed kick from Alan Hunter.
Well, we've said the ground's going to play a big role in the outcome of the game, and that mistake from Hunter, the ball bobbled on the bad ground, enabled Lowe to get through. He did so well, and good covering there from Mark Jones. But the ground, again, it's a disgrace in the middle there. It's impossible to control the ball, and that was a great example of it, with Alan Hunter missing the simplest of balls. But some great duels going on out there, Mike. The battle between Jones and Farina is going to have a decisive outcome on the game, as is the one between Slater and Carter. But at the moment, very even, both sides yet to settle down. Still a lot of nerves out there. And it really needs the cool heads now to get control of the game and start to play as both these teams can.
Follis with the corner to the far post. Away there by Graham Arnold. Now Paul Carter. The shot was on target, and Tony Franken was awake to the situation. But Paul Carter, who's failed to score this season, really tested out the goalkeeper here, John.
Yes, I think it was a good save from Franken. He must have been unsighted. Look, there's an army of people in there. and he must have got a late side of it. Well down, difficult ball to catch. Well done, Franken.
Now Gray. There's Petkovic there, catches Peter Gatholis. Referee Chris Bambridge had seen the situation. Free kick's been given now to Marconi, having a quick word there with Petkovic. So the free kick to Marconi. 10 minutes gone in the first half, still no score. As Gray lifts this one forward, Farina up there. Now Hunter looking that one away. Good decision there in the Croatia defence. Slater. Now Shane Clinch. Trying to switch play and pick out Arnold on the far side, who was completely unmarked. Calderan was the player in the way, and it's Calderan in the way again. Getting that one away from the danger area. Gatholis on that far side. Rozic the player coming across. And the throw goes to Sydney Croatia. Vedran Rozic, the captain coach of Sydney Croatia, Yugoslav international, 26 appearances for Yugoslavia. Player has such a big influence on this Sydney Croatia side. Wally Savor with the throw. Savor again. And for Arnold, Calderan read that situation well. Calderan. Lamond. Henderson timing his challenge there to perfection. David Lowe, good chest down into the path there on Nastevski, but he stopped quickly. Now Petkovic. Neither side's midfield has really been able to get a grips of this match at this stage. Now Arnold. Not given the time, but it breaks nicely for Slater. Now for Clinch. Graham Jennings up in support. This is Jennings. Whipping that one in. Slater! Just over the top there from Robbie Slater. But the best move so far this afternoon, John, from Sydney Croatia.
Yes, a beautiful cross from Jennings. Low to the first post, curving right to Slater's path. Robbie just needed to be over that a little bit more, and Croatia would have been over. But look at the cross from Jennings. It's well curved, aimed at the first post, first time. Catches Marconi out, and Croatia a little unlucky not to get something from that.
Robbie Slater has scored 5 so far this season. Sure there, he likes to have made it number 6. Lowe picks out Gatholis. And now Farina, who's running to an offside position. Frank Farina, the leading goal scorer in 1988, 17 goals. Scored last week against Wollongong. Player whose future is very much in doubt at the moment. Where he'll be playing next season is anybody's guess. Now Nastevski. Shane Clinch forward. Carter's followed Slater across. So a throw now for Sydney Croatia. Now Slater. That came off of Gerry Gomez. Interesting, John, that Paul Carter's following Robbie Slater wherever he goes, and Colucci's picking up Lamond.
Yes, a complete man-for-man marking. I think it's a good system, particularly when you're playing with a sweeper, as Marconi do. Henderson at the back can fill in the gaps. But it's a great battle. But so far, Colucci, who we thought may be exposed by Lamond hasn't been in the game terribly much so far, and hence Colucci not exposed to his speed. But both teams will be advised to bypass the midfield, Mike. It's a disaster in there. You simply can't pass the ball. The ball's bobbling and bouncing everywhere. And both would be advised not only to bypass it, but to play on the flanks where the better grass is. Croatia need Manis in the game a lot more than he's been so far.
Well, interesting that Colucci's the player down. In fact, he's off the field at the moment, receiving attention. Robbie Wheatley's immediately started to warm up for Marconi. So at the moment, Marconi down to 10 men. And Gerry Gomez has immediately dropped back into the left-back position to look after Lamond. Now Clinch, losing out on that challenge to Gray. Gray just elbowed off the ball then, so a free kick for Marconi. And Marconi wanted to make a substitution, and Colucci's off, and Robbie Wheatley is the player to come on. So Robbie Wheatley comes on after just 15 minutes. And Colucci's the player that's gone off. He fell awkwardly, in fact, after fouling Lamond. So Robbie Wheatley, former Australian international and a youth international, is the player that comes on. And I would think, John, there'd be a lot of clubs around Australia who'd love to have a player of the calibre of Robbie Wheatley sitting on the bench.
Yes, no, I don't think the change is going to hurt Marconi at all. I think it's the team that they should have started with. Colucci, more a midfield player, very experienced player, but could be exposed at the back. And Wheatley coming on now, of course, for me, is the team that they should have started with anyhow. But as you say, you have Tommy McCulloch also not on the bench today, another Australian international, Freddie de Jong. It's been one of the beauties for Marconi is that they have a depth of talent, been able to replace, to cover injuries and loss of form. One of the reasons why they're here today is that huge wealth of talent that they have in the club.
Robbie Wheatley there penalised for his first challenge, going in on the back, which results now in a free kick for Sydney, Croatia. So Graham Jennings. Jennings for Arnold on that far post. David Lowe, Catholis losing out now. Hunter, still Alan Hunter. He ran into trouble and he stopped. Lowe, now Ian Gray, still Gray, looking for the free kick. But from this angle, he seemed to fall over the legs of Wally Savor, and referee Chris Bambridge was ideally placed. Savor forward. Now Lowe, Nastevski, good Lowe again. Nastevski just touching that one forward. Lowe trying to do a bit too much there, did Marconi. Away by Hunter. And picking out Graham Arnold. Now Slater. Henderson's the player who's gone across. Good challenge that from Tony Henderson, but not the best of clearances. It finishes up straight with Shane Clinch. Clinch looking for Arnold. And Graham Arnold there trying to keep that one in. In the end, it goes out of play for a goal kick. So let's cross now to Andy Pascalidis, who's down on the sideline.
Bertie, Colucci coming off, Wheatley coming on. What effect on tactics will that have?
None whatsoever. They both were contending for the position right along. There's not much between them, so that won't alter it at all.
How do you see the start?
Come on, good. Come on! Good. I mean, it's very difficult to play, but I think both have settled down and playing quite well.
Thanks, Bertie.
Now Gerry Gomez trying to get it past Hunter. Nastevski was completely unmarked on that far side. Throw to Marconi. So Paul Carter, 25 years old. Now Petkovic. Hunter. And Tony Henderson just letting that one run. And in the end, all the way back to Robbie Catlin. Poor clearance that from Bobby Catlin, straight out of play on the far side. He won't be too happy with that. Bobby Catlin, 23 years old today, making his 68th appearance in the National Soccer League. And Slater. Throw for Sydney, Croatia. Hunter. Jennings coming in, away there by Gerry Gomez. Now Arnold. Hunter. Again, getting an awkward bounce. Clinch. Petkovic trying to chest that one through, and again Tony Henderson playing the sweeper's role to perfection. Reading that situation well and getting the ball forward over the head there of Savor. Savor playing that one back, and Tony Franken going to move quickly as Frank Farina was bearing down on him. So Mark Jones started his NSL career with Newcastle, also a representative cricketer, Mark Jones. Good all-round sportsman. Arnold. Away by Carter. Now Graham Arnold. Petkovic. Slater available on that far side. Playing this one in first time. Catlin comes, gets a touch and touches it away from Lamond. Still Lamond. And Lamond there, upended by Gerry Gomez. Spambridge is given a free kick. Game being played in a good spirit, and that's nice to see. 20 minutes gone now in the grand final, still no score. Marconi 0, Sydney Croatia 0. Slater with the free kick. Now Jennings with his right foot. Way by Calderan. So a throw for Sydney Croatia. Time now for the Croatia supporters to get behind their side. Slater trying to play that one back. Gerry Gomez was in there first. Now Hunter. Slater. Faced by Gomez. Still Slater. Now Jennings. Slater. Game Paul Carter was in quickly. Now Gray. Been a pick so far of the midfielders this afternoon, Ian Gray. Calderan. It's a throw on that far side, which he takes quickly. Catholis. Graham Arnold, in fact, I think has been penalised for that challenge. So it's a free kick now to Marconi. Mark Jones. Good to see so many young fans here this afternoon. Both sides with a lot of support. As Ian Gray takes the throw in. Looking for Gerry Gomez, who's gone forward. It was Gomez, in fact, with the back header. Away by Rozic. Now Hunter. Now Lamond. Wheatley keeping a tight rein on him. Catholis. Still Peter Catholis, faced there by Lamond. Still Catholis. Trying to get that one across. It goes behind play for a goal kick. Peter Catholis started his career with St George. So, of course, with Sydney Olympic last season with Apia. Joined Marconi at the start of this season. Crowd on that far side, protecting their eyes against the bright sun here this afternoon. Certainly conditions, weather-wise, are absolutely ideal. Maybe that one can't say the same thing about the pitch. Now Arnold, switching play and picking out Graham Jennings. Gerry Gomez was in there quickly. Graham Jennings, who scored earlier this season against Apia. There was a half chance there, but he was so quickly closed down by Gerry Gomez. Again, leaving the throw to be taken now by Lamond. Lamond. Wheatley there was standing in front of him. Hunter with the back header. Now Jennings. He breaks nicely though for Catholis. Trying to play that one forward. Sydney Croatia pushed quite a few players forward. Catholis there trying to catch them out. Now Slater getting away for Carter for the first time this afternoon, but Carter came back at him. It was a good challenge in the end by the Marconi fullback. Now Vedran Rozic. His clearance only goes as far as Gerry Gomez. Now Gomez again. Gray switching play to that far side. Lowe. Now Catholis. Farina with a chase. Alan Hunter, the player, coming across. But even, John, with 24 minutes gone, neither side really has settled into any type of pattern.
It's almost impossible for them to settle, isn't it, Mike? You just can't play in the middle of the park. It's impossible for the midfields to operate, hence the dominance of the defence is really in the forward lines. Only Slater, to a lesser extent Arnold, visible at the moment, simply because you just can't play in the middle of the park. I think it's the type of game we're going to see a lot more of this end-to-end stuff without anything really creative coming out of the middle.
Graham Arnold. Pushed down there by Steve Calderan. And Graham Arnold there fell very, very heavily, and Calderan went on the top of him. Again, the awkward bouncing ball. And Graham Arnold there, John, falling very heavily, and Steve Calderan coming down on top of him.
Yes, awkward challenge, wasn't it? No malice at all. Let's hope Arnie's all right. Olympic Games are just a couple of weeks away, but it is an awkward fall.
Of course, a few of the Socceroos on show here this afternoon. One thing, John, Alan Hunter doesn't seem to be moving too freely, and that's a bit of a worry as well.
No, well, he has a problem with his back. I would think for Marconi it's an area for them to exploit Rozic and Hunter. People talk about Tony Henderson perhaps being a bit slow, but I think there's more slowness in the middle of the Croatian defence, particularly with Hunter with a back injury. But the problem is, Mike, that there's nothing able to come out of the middle of the park. And Farina has been very quiet so far, so is Nastevski, Lowe.
At the moment, I suppose, one of the pick of the midfielders would be Ian Gray.
Gray, Gomez is very quiet, although he's got his work or hands full handling Jennings. They've simply got to play either direct, bypass the midfield, or play it on the flanks.
Graham Arnold up and recovered. Wally Savor now to take the free kick. So Wally Savor, Lamond, still Manus Lamond. Just half stop there, and there's a good example as Graham Jennings just slipped as he tried to turn. Eventually gets it forward. Now Shane Clinch. Trying to play it back to Lamond. It falls nicely in the end for Nastevski. Heavy challenge that from Graham Arnold. And here's Arnold again. Calderan was the player in the way. Now Hunter. Nearly too much time. Lowe was in quickly. Now Nastevski. Now Jennings. Throw to Sydney, Croatia. Certainly a bit of bite coming into the challenges now. Shane Clinch with the throw. Slater. Still Robbie Slater. Clinch. Still Clinch getting that one across. Now Hunter. Hunter! And it's just wide there from Alan Hunter. Well, Alan Hunter scored a couple of goals this season. They've both been from the penalty spot. But this was a real speculator, John.
Yes, tremendous work from young Shane Clinch, one of the unsung heroes of Croatia. Good strike from Alan Hunter. Bobby Catlin had it covered. But a fine strike, and good to see the referees allow the game to go on. The ball's not out there at all. You see it bring up chalk. Well done, Shane Clinch. And a great strike from Alan Hunter.
And Manus Lamond there fails to keep that one in play. Now Henderson. Bobby Catlin, who started his career in the Manly Ringer area of Sydney. Had spells at Arpia. Joined Marconi at the start of 1987. Now Petkovic. Slater, again faced by Carter. Petkovic. Now Arnold. Still Graham Arnold. Still Arnold twisting and turning. Looking for the penalty. The dive was worth about 5.5. But good battling play there from Graham Arnold. 10 goals so far this season. Trying so hard here, John. It wouldn't quite roll for him, would it?
No, it wouldn't, and certainly not a penalty, but well done, Arnie. Such a great battler, always in things, but that certainly wasn't a penalty. Need to be a better dive than that, Mike, to fool Chris Bambridge.
Now Gray. So dominant in midfield so far this afternoon for Marconi. Trying to switch play, nobody coming forward, in fact, for Marconi. Graham Jennings. Carter. Under pressure by Slater. Throw goes to Sydney, Croatia. As we come up to the half-hour mark in the first half. Marconi 0, Sydney, Croatia 0 after 30 minutes. Slater. Jennings. Slater just nodding that one inside. And Tony Henderson using all that experience and policing it back to Bobby Catlin. Tony Henderson, 34-year-old, 55 or 51 appearances in fact for Australia. He scored 6 goals. Today he's setting an NSL record with 296 appearances. Arnold. Now Jennings. Pass from Arnold, didn't have quite enough weight on it. Steve Calderan was in there quickly. And Jennings preparing to take this throw. Now Carter. Now Jennings. Again, you got an awkward bounce. One has to feel sorry, John, for these players this afternoon, especially the skillful ball players.
Well, again, it's impossible, Mike, to play in the middle of the park. There's just so many elementary errors happening. Very interesting, the performance of Wally Savor this afternoon too, Mike. Ruled out by the doctors to go to Seoul. Very sad day for him last week, but certainly on what we've seen so far, no evidence that that knee's not going to stand up. But what decision do the national selectors make when the medical opinion is that he wouldn't stand up to 3 or maybe more hard games in Seoul?
Now Graham Arnold, long boot forward. All the way through to Bobby Catlin. And Gray plays that one forward. The ball goes out of play. So Marconi here this afternoon with plenty of support, balloons and flags. Certainly it's a colourful scene here at the Parramatta Stadium. Now Henderson. Taking that one away, Gray. Now Clinch. That came off of Wheatley. A throw to Sydney Croatia on that far side. Well, it's a game that desperately needs a goal to settle both sides down. Could be Sydney Croatia fan. Certainly would be their #1 supporter. Throw comes in, away there by Calderan. Now Hunter trying the shot. It bobbled in front of Catlin, who was only thankful to collect it at the second attempt. Well worth the effort, this, John, from Alan Hunter.
Well, it says a lot about the game so far, doesn't it, Mike? The best strikes on goal have been from the defender Hunter. That's the second good one. A very nasty bounce in front of Catlin. In the end, does well to handle it. Good clean jump there from Steve Calderan. Good defending. But again, a good volley from Hunter.
Ball back now with Tony Franken.
With the exception of Slater and Arnold, the forwards unseen so far, Mike. Defence is well on top. Both sides really well advised to not try and play too much football. Just get it to the other end as quickly as possible. Play it in your opponent's half. There we see again so many elementary areas happening in that sandpit. Absolute disgrace, really, to stage a top soccer match in such conditions.
It does make it a bit of a lottery, doesn't it?
Well, it is. It's just you just can't play, and I think it's penalising Marconi slightly more than Croatia.
Now Nastevski. Away from Hunter. Still Nastevski. Catholis is the player screaming for it. He tried to play it inside, in fact, to David Lowe. Now Slater. Doing that one much too hard. Some lovely touch of skill there from Zlatko Nastevski. Something that would have been appreciated by all the fans. Nastevski. Time caught by Alan Hunter. Free kick to Marconi. Referee Chris Bambridge, who's a collection manager when he's away from soccer. A FIFA referee for 8 years. Free kick quickly taken. Nastevski closed down quickly by Hunter. Now Henderson. Trying to switch play and look for Gerry Gomez. Farina celebrates his 24th birthday tomorrow. Still Farina cutting this one back, but easily cut out by Vedran Rozic. And Rozic there, stopped by referee Chris Bambridge. And now Gerry Gomez. And brave goalkeeping there from Tony Franken. But Chris Bambridge there, John, had a big say in that move.
Well, I'm glad they didn't score from that, because it would have been very unfortunate. It was a very unfair bounce, if you like, off the referee. But this is what Marconi need a lot more of as well, is Gerry Gomez participating in attacks. He's such a dangerous player coming from behind. That's the first time we've seen him threaten the opponent's goal. I think it's always a good sign for Marconi, Mike, when Gomez is participating in attacks, they're on the boil, and that's the first time we've seen it today.
Nastevski with the backheader into the path of Ian Gray. Farina forward, so's Nastevski, so's Lowe. Here's Nastevski. Pulling away from the defender, whipping this one across quickly. The header from David Lowe. Finishes up wide. David Lowe, 4 goals so far this season. Celebrated his 25th birthday last Tuesday. Scored, of course, last week. Well, this was a much better move from Marconi, John.
Yes, well, we're saying Gomez needs to be more involved in the attack, and so does this fella here, Nastevski. He's such an elegant player, such a key player for them. We haven't seen much of him today. Beautiful dead ball kicker, and also a crosser from movements such as that. Can bend the ball and gives very good service. But Marconi need Nastevski more active than he's been so far in the first half.
So the throw for Sydney Croatia on that far side. Now Arnold. Graham Arnold. That's by Calderan.
Behind the goal.
Arnold looking, I think, for the corner. In fact, he left to settle for a throw-in the end. Bit of cat and mouse there between Arnold and Calderan. So the throw for Sydney Croatia. Slater. Petkovic. Such a good crosser of the ball. Shane Clinch. The header was on target, but not really with the power to worry Bobby Catlin too much. But Shane Clinch, 3 goals so far this season. The opportunity there for 4. As the action switches to the other end, and Vedran Rozic tidies up and gets it all the way back to Tony Franken. So Tony Franken, chance to get this one upfield. Let's cross now to Andy Pascalides.
Well, thanks, Mike. Ron Corrie, assistant coach of Croatia. Are things going according to plan so far?
Oh, it's very hard to play here on this the pitch the way it is. It's very bumpy, so yeah, things are going quite okay. I think the team that makes the most mistakes in that clearing position might might lose.
What about the medical reports on those injured players? Wally Savor seems to be doing quite well. Are you happy the way he's moving?
Oh, Wally's, yeah, he said himself before the game he was feeling very well. Same with Alan Hunter, they're both standing up very well.
Any tactical changes you can foresee at that half-time break?
That'll be for Vedran to decide when he comes off. He may want just a few minor changes, but we've got to get the ball up early instead of trying to hold on to the ball all the time. It's virtually impossible on this pitch, so you've got to get the ball early, give it early, get into space.
Right, Ron, thanks for your time. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, and that was Carl Patterson, of course, not Andy Pascalides. Throw on that far side now for Marconi. And Mark Jones there, penalised for doing some pushing on Frank Farina. So a free kick now to Marconi. Just under 7 minutes to go to half-time. So an opportunity now for Marconi to put more players forward. Gerry Gomez has made a run forward. Here's Farina. Still Frank Farina trying to make that yard of space to get it across. He whips it back in the end. And Steve Calderan puts Marconi ahead. The goal coming after 38 minutes. And for Steve Calderan, only his 2nd goal of the season. But Frank Farina here, John, did so well.
Yes, we're on about Farina. He hasn't been in the game at all, but that's the beauty of him. One of the first moves he's involved in, he sets up that goal for Marconi. Good work from Farina. Look at it here, not much space. I didn't think he'd get past Jones. Jones is such a good marker, but Farina creates the space and cuts the ball back. If he hit it straight across, there's no way it would have ended in a goal. Cuts it back, catches the defence out, and Calderan puts it away.
So Frank Farina, the player who lays on the goal. Steve Calderan is the player who scores it. And 39 minutes gone now in the first half. Marconi 1, Sydney Croatia 0. So that's the goal that this game needed. Now Clinch, away that time by Henderson. Nastevski forward, only as far though as Vedran Rozic. He's given it straight away to Nastevski. And Frank Farina, beaten that time by Vedran Rozic. So Marconi, who have scored more goals in the West End National Soccer League this season than any other team. 46 goals in 26 regular league matches.
And another 7 in the final playoffs, Mike. They've been the most dynamic side in that department, haven't they? But the beauty of Farina, really, out of the game, not seen, and then just one moment of magic to set up that goal. Pressure now on Croatia. I think that you'll find them playing, as Ronnie Corrie just said, a lot more direct in the second half.
And Jennings is the player brought down by Gerry Gomez. And Jennings there just caught as he went past Gerry Gomez. Graham Jennings, 10 appearances for Australia at youth international level, plus 4 goals. At full international level now, he's made 68 appearances in the green and gold since he made his debut against England back in 1983. Marconi have got a 4-man wall. Referee Chris Bambridge insisting they're back to the required 10 paces. So Slater and Jennings, the two players over the ball for Sydney, Croatia. Slater, that was always rising. Rather ambitious there from Robbie Slater. And Robbie Slater, 5 goals so far. But that one was really never going to trouble the keeper. So Marconi got the lead with just 3 minutes to go to half-time. Arnold, Petkovic. Petkovic, who hasn't scored since the second game of the season, getting this one across, away by Steve Calderan. Now Catholis. David Lowe. Now Gray. Good intercept that by Alan Hunter, and an important one as well. Still Hunter surrounded there by green shirts, and in the end losing it. And he breaks nicely now for Catholis. Nastevski on that far side. Ian Gray's waiting at the far post. Nastevski tries to get that one across, and it's charged down by Vedran Rozic. Petkovic. Now Wheatley. Catholis, and he's onside. All Marconi at the moment. Here's Nastevski. Nastevski, the shot blocked by Vedran Rozic. Throw on the far side to Marconi. So Ian Gray goes across to take it, the long throw specialist for Marconi. Gerry Gomez has moved forward for the back header. And gets the back header in, off the head there of Jennings. Now Hunter, and tipped over in the end by Tony Franken. But there was an infringement there. But Gerry Gomez again, John, causing all sorts of problems with this back header.
Well, there's no better player in the air than Gerry Gomez in Australian football. And again, a little bit of uncertainty in the Croatian defence, Mike. A little bit of hesitancy. Look, they've outnumbered Marconi there. 4 or 5 players against 2, and yet they're still in trouble. Marconi playing with a lot more confidence now, as you would expect from the team leading 1-0. But really, the first half been, in footballing terms, perhaps a little bit disappointing. It's been a great final in terms of the tension and commitment. But one must again come to the conditions of the centre field, which has prevented any midfield build-up or build-up from the back. And teams are well advised just to play it very, very direct and on the side. And I'm sure both coaches will be stressing that at half-time.
Now Hunter going in there quickly, trying to release Lamond. Important intercept that by Robbie Wheatley. And Steve Calderan cool under pressure and playing it all the way back to Bobby Catlin. Paul Carter. Now Vedran Rozic. Mark Jones. Hunter. Long one forward, picking out Slater. Now Lamond. Now Slater. And again, Robbie Slater got a terrible bounce there. Slater not too happy with the referee, Chris Bambridge. But another good illustration of how bad this pitch is. You can see there as Slater went for the ball just bobbed up. So a throw on that far side to Sydney, Croatia. Marconi supporters with plenty to celebrate at the moment. Here's Hunter, playing that one back in, away by Carter. Mark Jones, now Jennings. And now watch, now we're playing stoppage time at the end of the first half. Jennings with the cross, away there by Tony Henderson. And into the path of Peter Catholis. Farina forward, so's David Lowe, completely unmarked on this side. If Catholis could have found him. In the end, he picks out Mark Jones, who plays it forward, looking for Graham Arnold. Forward this time by Carter. Referee Chris Bambridge acknowledges the signs from both linesmen. As the half-time whistle goes, a first half that really has proved to be difficult for both sides, with the only goal coming after 39 minutes from Steve Calderan. But John, we've been saying it all the way through, but really, for both sides this afternoon to try to play any football on this pitch is nearly impossible.
Well, again, the coach's instruction at half-time would be to tell both teams, forget about football, just play it in the other opponent's half, get it down there as quickly as possible. And, you know, we just saw a perfect example there just before half-time. Catholis, when Marconi had the extra man, just had to give a simple ball. The ball bobbled as he went to kick it, and hence the movement broke down. Impossible to play football on this ground. It is a disgrace, and I think the team that's going to play the most direct in the second half is probably going to end up on top.
The half-time scoreline here in the grand final, Marconi 1, Sydney Croatia 0. Let's cross now to Carl Patterson, who's talking to the goal scorer, Steve Calderan.
Thanks, Mike. Well, the goal hero, Steve Calderan. Surprised when you bobbed up there, Steve. How'd you get up there?
Well, we usually go up for a free kick or a corner, and I don't know, I just went up there as normal, and Lowe just flicked it on. I thought I saw the new far post open, so I just decided to have a go, and Bob's your uncle.
100 miles an hour out there. How long can you keep up the pace of you guys?
I don't know. I think in the second half will slow down, the tempo will slow down, and maybe we might see a little bit more short passing game, you know, because I think with this heat and the state of the ground, it'll be a little bit more difficult running around in the second half.
Right, Steve, congratulations. Let's now cross to Andy Pascalides.
Graham Arnold, how tough is it out there?
It's a very hard game, you know. I feel sorry for the spectators a bit because the field's an absolute nightmare. You're playing up front, you can't get the ball into your feet at all. You've just got to play long ball and just hope you get a good bounce down the other end.
What about Croatia's chances in the second half?
We're not gone yet. You know, there's still 45 minutes to go. I think we've got to concentrate more on our crosses. We have to get the crosses in good and accurate, and then we've got a very good chance of scoring.
OK, Arnie, all the best in the second half. Thank you. So there you have it. Sydney Croatia trailing Marconi by 1-0. After this break, we'll be back with...
And welcome back. 1-0 the scoreline to Marconi against Sydney Croatia in the 1988 Grand Final. That goal coming 6 minutes from the break by Steve Calderan, and Eddie Thompson and Terry Greedy are back with us. 6 minutes from the break. Eddie, that goal coming from a set-piece move. Pretty well even Stevens, other than that.
Yeah, I think the conditions have ruled both teams, Les, because it's impossible to play real good soccer. So it has been a bit of a dogfight in the middle of the park and up front. For 30 minutes, 35 minutes, it was really even. Either side could have probably scored a goal, but certainly Marconi got on top the last 10 minutes. He played really well.
Terry, the big three up front for Croatia, Lamond, Slater and Arnold, have been pretty well neutralised up until now, I thought.
Well, the Marconi defence has done extremely well with those three. Graham Arnold's got very little service from the wings today. I'd say he'd be a bit disappointed about that. Ian Gray's impressed me in the first half. He's had a tremendous first half. He's really stamped his authority in the middle of the park there. As Eddie said, very difficult conditions in there, and he seems to have adapted better than the rest of them, and he's a lot of the plays coming through here.
Also difficult, Eddie, is that because of this pitch, the real playmakers in the middle of the park, like Catholis and particularly Nastevski, can't really function as well as they can.
Well, not really. Peter Catholis came into the game the last 10 minutes once he got on top, and Nastevski's maybe had 2 flashes in 45 minutes. The same with Petkovic for Croatia. He's never really been in the game because it is very difficult conditions for the creative players. But I think Graham Arnold's doing a brilliant job for Marconi. He's coming back, he's fighting for the ball, he's getting in the box, and if Lamond and Slater lie a bit wider and give Arnold that room to get in the box, I think that's the only way Croatia can come.
He's playing deep, as you said, Tom, at the beginning of the game. OK, Andy Pascalides is back on the sidelines. He's being busy, and he's with the injured Sydney Croatia player, Dave Rezzo. Let's cross to Andy now.
Dave Rezzo, how tough is it sitting in the sidelines there watching the match?
Well, Andy, it's pretty tough sitting watching the boys play, but I'm sure they're full of confidence and we can come back from the goal down.
Well, you've had a knee injury which has ruled you out for this match. How do you think Wally Shavor's going?
Well, I know what Wally's going through. He declared himself 100% fit for Vedran, and at the moment I think he's doing well, and I think he's got something to prove.
If you were in the dressing room right now, what would Vedran be telling the players?
I think that Vedran will be saying to the players to settle down a bit, because the game's playing, you know, it's at 100 mile an hour, and plus it's very hard to control, so I think we've got to settle down and just sort of try to push the ball around a bit.
Can Croatia come back into the match?
Well, Andy, it's only half time, I think, for sure, you know. We've had 2 good chances, I think, well, I think we can do it, you know.
Okay, thanks a lot, Davey Rezzo. Back to Les Murray.
Andy.
Dave Rezzo there with Andy Pascalidis, and as David said, plenty of time in this match, another 45 minutes at least, and of course if it's level after the 90 minutes it goes into extra time and then the penalty shootout, and we are staying with you for the entire duration, whatever happens. Let's take a station break now and return to the 1988 Grand Final. Welcome back to the Grand Final. Parramatta Stadium, blazing sunshine here today, and 1-0 the scoreline. Marconi leading Sydney Croatia at the break. Eddie Thompson and Terry Greedy. Let's have a look at some of the highlights of that first half. Terry, it was pretty well even Stevens. I thought it started off with Marconi looking the better at the beginning, but then Croatia got more and more into it.
Croatia came forward. The first 15-20 minutes there was very little soccer played. Croatia did look a little bit more dangerous than Marconi, but I think once they started to push that ball forward to David Lowe, and they had Cathallis breaking wide on the left, they started to cause a few more problems for the Croatian defence, and I think they were exposed a few times, and you can see that they haven't quite got the legs to keep up with the front runners for Marconi.
Tomo, did you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. Interesting move, Les, during the first half was Alan Hunter coming and pushing him into midfield after the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Alan's actually suffering from a back injury. I'm just wondering if it's affecting his play, but certainly taking him out the back four was an interesting move by Vedran.
Yeah, Alan Hunter had a couple of cracks, which we'll see in a second, at the other end, where that lovely volley that just swept past the post. He does have some attacking qualities, though, hasn't he, Block?
He's actually, his attacking game, I think with Alan Hunter, his attacking game is much better than his defensive game. He's got so much flair for a centre-back, but certainly pushing him into midfield, he can use it a lot more than at the back.
If I was the Sydney Croatia fan, I'd be a bit disappointed as to why Flash hasn't been used a bit more often. He's very much a key player to them, and with this nice lush grass on the edges of the park, it'd be good if he was used a bit more often.
Yeah, certainly, Les, but Gerry Gomez has been tracking him all over the place. But unless Lamond moves inside and leaves the room for Jennings and exposes him 1-against-1 with Gomez, then you're not going to see the best of Graham.
Yeah.
We saw the benefit of Flash's overlapping runs there early in the first half when he got a ball into Robbie Slater, and I thought he could have done much better with it, actually. Found the ball coming into him on the 6-yard box, he put it over the crossbar, so he'd be a bit disappointed with that effort, I think. But Flash, a tremendous run down the line. That was the first one that we saw from him, actually the only one for the half.
Tomo, the players are having a lot of difficulty in the middle of the park with that pitch. I mean, is that a conscious thing, or I mean, are they underestimating the fact that this pitch is really unplayable in the middle?
I don't think they're underestimating it, Les. It's the person really they've got to commit themselves. They've really got to attack the ball in the conditions. And the way and the touch, really, once or twice if you let the ball bounce, you've really got to control it before it does bounce, attack the ball, and then play it. But it's the middle of the park, you've got to play it simple. One touch and pass it on. One touch, pass it on.
That's right. Okay, well, let's leave the highlights there. We've just seen the goal go in. It was a good piece of opportunism from Steve Calderan, but the players are out of the park, so let's cross now to Mike Hill and Johnny Warren for the second half.
Well, thanks, Les, and there's the scene here at the Parramatta Stadium. Both teams are out. The half-time scoreline, Marconi 1, Sydney Croatia 0. At the moment, the only person missing is referee Chris Bambridge. So it's been a good first half. Plenty of excitement for the crowd, but football-wise, it's been a little bit disappointing. Bruno Vidic, the manager of Sydney Croatia, former player, of course, retired rather prematurely in a lot of people's opinion. He's done a good job this year off the field for Sydney, Croatia. Referee Chris Bambridge from Melbourne. Our referee this afternoon. Well, John, I wonder what both coaches would have said at half-time. If you'd have been Vedran Rozic, what would your advice been to your charges?
Well, I would be looking for a lot more from Lamond. Manus is such needs to complement Robbie Slater and Graham Arnold in attack a lot more than he has. He's been out of the game too much, and I'd be wanting Croatia to play more as they do at club level, just much more direct. Get Jennings involved in the game a lot more. They're always so much better when Jennings overlaps on that left flank.
Here's Slater.
But I would think Marconi would be reasonably happy to have a goal lead. They've got the experience there, Marconi, to hang on to a lead. Of course, it's too early yet to close the game up. I think we're going to see a lot more of what we saw in the first half. It's pretty committed play, a lot of tension and very direct play.
Now Hunter. Both sides starting the second half as they finish the first. And now Nastevski. Hunter there just doing enough and playing it all the way back to Tony Franken. So now Franken. The wind in this second half slightly favouring Marconi. Wheatley. Now Jennings. Robbie Wheatley, who came on after 15 minutes to replace the injured Colucci. So a throw on that far side. Robbie Wheatley, former youth international. And of course a full international for Australia. And here's the current Australian left back, Graham Jennings, taking the throw. Steve Calderan, the player across. Steve Calderan, his second goal of the season. His only other goal this season was against St George, as Henderson gets that one away. Now Hunter, beaten in the air, that time by Nastevski. Mark Jones, ball bobbles away from him. Here comes Gerry Gomez, brought down there by Graham Jennings. Tangle of legs. Gerry Gomez, of course, who started his career at Sydney City. 2 appearances for Australia. That's also representing Australia at youth international level, making 3 appearances. Such a good utility player now, 28 years old. Robbie Wheatley with the free kick. Now Farina. Still Frankie Farina. Trying to get away from Mark Jones. Still Farina, whipping that one back. Now Savor. And Savor lets that one run out of play. Fortune there for Sydney, Croatia. David Lowe was in there causing all sorts of problems. David Lowe, who was 25 last Tuesday. Former Australian youth international, 22 appearances for Australia at youth level. In those matches, he scored 16 goals. Now Arnold, trying to play that one behind the defence. Here's Slater, and Slater there being pulled down, and that's got to be a penalty. Well, referee Chris Bambridge has given that right on the edge of the penalty area. It'll be interesting to look at that replay, John.
On first glance, it appeared to be inside, Mike. I thought Robbie Slater was well inside the box when he was brought down. There's the first incident there.
Well, it's a live
one,
ball,
isn't it?
It's
It
a
really
tough one. Paul Carter, in fact, is getting the yellow card for the challenge.
So Robbie backs into Paul there quite well. The foul doesn't take place until just now.
That's very close. But the free kick has been given right on the edge of the penalty area.
I would think on the replay you'd have to agree with the referee. My first impression was that Robbie Slater was inside. Certainly fell inside the box. It's a question of when the foul took place. And I would think Chris Bainbridge, once again, spot on with his decision there.
The referee Chris Bainbridge insisting the ball is put in the correct position. Can't really move it very far because otherwise it will be in the penalty area anyway. Marconi have pulled everybody back. In fact, every Marconi player now inside their own penalty area as Petkovic goes down. Well, he was standing just in front of the Marconi wall. It seems that he got something in the face, most probably an elbow. It's a crowded penalty area. Slater and Arnold, the two players over the ball. Arnold ricochets against the wall, but certainly when that ball was played, Gerry Gomez was only about 3 yards from the ball. But Marconi now breaking quickly. Carter switching play and picking up Lowe on that far side. Still David Lowe. Gerry Gomez has moved forward. He's offside, and so's Frank Farina. But a good break there. It all came, John, from the free kick, but certainly when it was taken, Gerry Gomez was about 3 yards from the ball.
Yes, well, Sydney Croatia unfortunate for Slater to be pulled down in that manner. We always say it should be a penalty. Then the wall doesn't retreat the yards. There are two aspects I think soccer's got to clean up. But what a good break that was from Marconi. Excellent vision from Paul Carter to switch play and find David Lowe. The type of counter-attacking game both sides are really good at. But Paul Carter again, brilliant change of play there.
Now Arnold playing that one through, looking for Slater. Wheatley, the player, coming across in cover. Catholis. Now Henderson. Came off the head of Ian Gray. It seems, John, even in these first 5 minutes of the second half, that Croatia getting the ball forward at every opportunity. The long ball for Slater and Lamond to chase, and that's not bad tactics in these conditions.
Good tactics, something they've got to do. They didn't do it enough in the first half, and this man they need in the game a lot more too, young Manus.
Around Gerry Gomez. First time at those long legs of Gerry Gomez to the rescue. Robbie Wheatley, cool under pressure, and all the way back to Bobby Catlin.
But it hasn't been Manus's day so far, Mike. He hasn't been in the game enough. I would think if something doesn't come from his area shortly, that they'd have to consider bringing Ingham on. Not as skillful, if you like, as Lamond, but very direct, very fast, and could be the type of player to provide that service, which is non-existent at the moment, to Arnold and Slater with crosses.
Now Gerry Gomez. Ian Gray. That came off at Chris Bambridge. Vedran Rozic. And Shane Clinch. Just playing that one back to Tony Franken. Second time this afternoon that Chris Bambridge has been involved in play.
He's having a good game, isn't he, Chris?
He's having a very good game, Chris. Of course, he started refereeing when he was a soccer player at Kettering under Ron Atkinson, in fact, and Ron Atkinson had a look at him and sort of suggested that he didn't bother to carry on playing. Let's go to refereeing. Ron Atkinson still credits himself now with turning Chris Bambridge into a referee. Now Farina. Wheatley plays that one inside. Ball goes out of play, and a corner is given. So a corner for Marconi. More pressure now for Sydney Croatia. Wally Savor. Had a good game so far this afternoon. No sign of that injury that's kept him out for the last couple of weeks. Catholis with a corner. Away by Slater. Now Ian Gray. Now Farina. Over the top there from Frank Farina. Not too happy there with something that Petkovic did. But Ian Gray had a good shot here, John, and I think it was stopped, in fact, by David Lowe in the end.
It was. David Lowe blocked it. Whether it would have been a goal, I doubt it. I think the keeper, Franken, would have had it well covered. Good strike. Gets over this one. Earlier in the game, of course, he put it too high, but he got over that one. David Lowe blocking it. I don't think it would have been a goal at all. Franken had it well covered.
Throw for Sydney Croatia. Now Slater. Still Robbie Slater. Chipping this one in, looking for Manis Lamond. Still Lamond. Back to goal. Jennings. And Jennings there trying to play it wide to Manis Lamond, who seemed to be taken out after play. Still down, in fact, Manis Lamond. Catholis. Plenty of room in which to operate. Still Peter Catholis, but running straight there into Vedran Rozic. Now Petkovic. Play switching from end to end. Paul Carter, the player, coming across. Now Slater. Robbie Slater there running straight into Ian Gray. Pushing and shoving. Referee Chris Bambridge stepping in quickly. He's going to have a word with Robbie Slater. Robbie Slater there running into Ian Gray. We'll look at it again from this angle. And that's when the fun and games started. So Robbie Slater just gets a stern lecture there from referee Chris Bambridge. Petkovic winning that challenge in the air. Calderan, who's kept a tight rein this afternoon on Graham Arnold. It's the player in there first. Now Farina, before Lamond. Farina playing that one inside. Hunter, the player, chasing back. Now Mark Jones. Petkovic. Follis playing that one back to Henderson. Now Shane Clinch. Got an awkward bounce. It breaks nicely now for Lowe. Farina available on that far side. Still Frank Farina trying to lift this one in. Behind the byline, in fact, for a goal kick. Frankie Farina, 24 tomorrow. Former youth international, under 23 international, and the current full international. Plenty to celebrate at the moment for those Marconi fans. Their side leading here by a 1-0 in the 1988 Grand Final. Now Lamond. Slater. Still Robbie Slater, and again closely marked by Paul Carter. It's been an interesting duel, that one, this afternoon, John.
Tremendous duel, and Robbie's complained about a couple of the tackles, but I think Paul Carter's played him very fairly.
Now Lamond whipping this one across. Hunter! Equaliser! 11 minutes gone. And Alan Hunter gets his 3rd goal of the season. The other 2 have been from penalties, but he hit this one, John, so sweetly.
Well, we've been saying all afternoon there's been a lack of crosses from Croatia. There's been little service. Lamond has been out of the game. Suddenly he's in it with a beautiful cross. And Alan Hunter, this is his 3rd strike on goal this afternoon. Another volley, sweetly struck, and a beautiful goal for Sydney, Croatia. But Lamond in the game. Croatia need it desperately. They need crosses. They get it, and they get the goal.
57 minutes gone. Marconi 1, Sydney, Croatia 1. Now Nastevski. Good challenge that from Petkovic, who chased all the way back, and the clearance in the end by Wally Savor. Croatia supporters there behind Bob Catlin's goal celebrate. And there's a real buzz now around the Parramatta Stadium. Robbie Slater's the player penalised. Marconi have got a free kick. So Peter Catholis take this free kick. Vedran Rozic, Gerry Gomez sliding that one through, and Wally Savor to the rescue, conceding the corner. Ian Gray had made a burst through from midfield. Gerry Gomez there, nearly going through on his own. Ian Gray chasing through, and I think catching Tony Franken, as Wally Savor was the player who got it away for a corner. But Tony Franken, the 23-year-old goalkeeper from Sydney, Croatia, just caught there, John. It was a nasty challenge, although one must say it was accidental.
Well, I wonder whether it was Savor, in fact, did collide with him. But if there was a test on Wally Savor's leg, that was it, Mike.
And he didn't pull out.
Tough challenge. Franken's a tough boy, he'll be up. But really the game alive now. We all expected a very high-scoring game.
Tony Franken, of course, not only an international goalkeeper, also a state representative at cricket. And there was one stage whether it was the decision whether he carried on playing soccer or moved to cricket. Good all-round sportsman, Tony Franken. Well, he's back on his feet. He's got to face this corner now to be taken by Peter Catholis. To the far post, nobody there. Now Calderan just hooking that one back in. Behind the byline for a goal kick. Steve Calderan, 140 matches now in the National Soccer League. Scored just 6 goals, including the one this afternoon. Now Lamond. Gerry Gomez. Quite a tussle on that far side with Graham Jennings. Still Jennings going and pushed down in the end by Gerry Gomez. A free kick for Sydney, Croatia. So Graham Jennings will take the free kick. Just playing that one forward. Way by Steve Calderan. Another throw for Sydney, Croatia. Now Slater. Still Robbie Slater. It's possessed there by Carter. Slater again challenging back. Way by Gerry Gomez. Strong challenge that from Alan Hunter. And that came off of Graham Jennings. The throw goes to Marconi, which Ian Gray wants to take quickly. Gray with a long throw, picking out David Lowe. Now switching play. Here comes Catholis. Frank Farina's the player ahead. Still Catholis. Trying to play that one through. It's easily charged down in the end by Petkovic. Alan Hunter. Now Petkovic. Hunter. Losing the ball there, Alan Hunter. Covered well though, and did enough, played it through to Lamond. In turn is dispossessed by Wheatley. Now Nastevski. In fact, Catholis. Gerry Gomez. Robbie Wheatley. Not moving too freely at the moment, Robbie Wheatley. Now Shane Clinch. Challenge from Ian Gray. There's a push off the ball. Referee Chris Bambridge ideally placed. Marconi supporters sitting in front of us not too happy with that decision. Certainly from where we're sitting, Chris Bambridge made the right choice. Graham Arnold. Lamond. Alan Hunter. Listed as a central defender, in fact, Alan Hunter. And more now as a central striker. Tony Henderson, the player under pressure, calling back to his keeper. Now Clinch is judging that completely. Nastevski, it's a space in which to operate. Still Nastevski, away there from Vedran Rozic, but he can't get away from Shane Clinch. It's through so much work in a match, Shane Clinch. There's Petkovic. He's going to get booked for that challenge on Ian Gray. And in fact, Petkovic is being sent off. Petkovic is being sent off for the challenge on Ian Gray. Well, it'll be interesting to look at that again.
I don't think there was any doubt Michael was over the ball. It was a very bad challenge. Whether deserved a red, we've been on all year that over the ball should be red. It's a matter of...
Well, looking at that replay, it didn't seem too bad.
Well, red seems a bit harsh. It's certainly over the top.
Well, looking at the replay, I think Sydney Croatia can feel that they might have been hard done by Petkovic there. Well, in fact, there Gray jumps in for the ball, and that could have caused the ball to bobble. But Petkovic has been sent off. Sydney Croatia are down to 10 men. And they'll talk about that decision for a long, long time from referee Chris Bambridge. So Sydney Croatia really up against it now with 10 men. Marconi have got a free kick. Been taken now by Robert Wheatley. Now Farina. And Farina there running the ball out of play. And a goal kick given. So let's cross now to Carl Patterson, who's on the sideline with Ron Corrie.
Well, thanks, Mike. Ron Corrie, assistant coach of Croatia. A terrible blow there, losing Ivan Petkovic.
Yes, that was just, I can't believe that Bainbridge just sent him off. I mean, he's had some crazy decisions all day. He denied us a penalty when Slater was pulled down inside the box, which he gave the free kick outside. And it was a tackle there. He may have retaliated a bit, but there was no send-off offence in that.
Any plans yet to make any tactical changes, any substitutions to compensate?
Well, it'll be very hard at the moment. You know, we've levelled at 1-1. We're just going to have to fight our way out of it with 10 men.
All right, Ron, thanks for your time. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Kyle. Sydney Croatia now got a free kick taken by Mark Jones. Robbie Slater again being closely marked there by Paul Carter. Now Slater. Still Robbie Slater. Challenge that from Tony Henderson. Slater in there before Gerry Gomez. And Slater there taken out of play after that. And now Joe Gomez, if referee Chris Bambridge is going to be consistent, has got to be sent off. If he's going to be consistent, Gomez has got to go. Slater had played the ball then, and Gomez collected him. And he's off. So Gerry Gomez gets sent off. Both teams down to 10 men. And at least Chris Bambridge is being consistent. He might not be right, but he's consistent.
We have to agree with that decision, Mike.
The first one was dodgy, but this one...
Well, Gerry retaliates. There's a strong challenge by Robbie Slater coming up now on Gerry Gomez. But Gerry's an experienced player. They've got the game won, Marconi. Gerry jumps up and commits this foul, which should be a send-off offence. He's late. And Gerry Gomez is an experienced player. Marconi had the game. And that's a very irresponsible decision by Gerry. Or action, I should say. That's the game's now back on level terms. Marconi had it wrapped up. In the heat of the moment, anything can happen, but experienced players should control themselves a lot better than that.
Alan Hunter there coming in with the header, along with Graham Arnold. Neither made the right contact. Chris Bambridge certainly livened up the afternoon. Well, he seems to be in the thick of things whenever he's in charge of a match. So now Ian Gray. Rozic. Alan Hunter playing now as an out-and-out striker. Graham Jennings up in support. Still Jennings. And upended. Free kick to Sydney Croatia.
That's going to be the effect, Mike, now. With Gomez going off, Jennings is going to be overlap a lot more. He's been unable to because Gomez has been marking him too tightly. But Croatia need Jennings to overlap like this to get the crosses in. And they're going to have a lot more opportunities now with Gomez's send-off. Ian Gray tries to pull out of the way there. It's an accidental trip, but certainly a foul. And in a very good position for Croatia.
Hunter's forward, so's Graham Arnold. Tony Henderson there organising his defence as Lamond takes the free kick. Still Lamond, eventually gets it across. Away there by Henderson, now Nastevski. And David Lowe running out of space on that far side. Throw now to Sydney Croatia. Slater. Still Robbie Slater. Now Jennings. Alan Hunter forward. Interesting that both goals this afternoon have come from central defenders. Now Alan Hunter is playing more and more of an out-and-out striker's role as Ian Gray comes out of defence for Marconi. Good run this from Gray. Trying to play that one forward to pick out David Lowe. Ball goes on the sideline. So a throw now for Sydney Croatia. Both sets of supporters now in fine voice, those Croatia fans really trying to encourage their side. Catholis. Now Nastevski. Still Nastevski inside for Lowe. Farina. When they go in, they look absolutely spectacular, but there was very little chance of that one going in, John.
Oh, he's put off by David Lowe. There was a misunderstanding there. And it bobbles again. I mean, the surface, we've said it so many times, but even on the grassy areas, Mike, the ball bobbles so much. It's just not conducive to good football. Certainly when you're going to have a shot at goal and the ball bobbles like it just did then.
Free kick to Marconi. Opportunity for now for Marconi to get this ball forward. Now Lamond. Hunter. Well, and Hunter. 40 possession there by Peter Catholis. Catholis there releasing Nastevski. Shane Clinch was the player back, and he did enough. Now Graham Arnold. He's got an acre of space ahead. Force both sides, reduced to 10 men. It's going to be a lot more space. As Wheatley gets in there before Lamond, but gives it straight to Graham Arnold. In turn now picks out Jennings. Certainly the pace of the game in this second half. Much slower than it was in the first. Slater. Slater cutting this one back. Too far back, in fact. Good intercept in the end by Ian Gray. Now Carter. Vedran Rozic. Vedran Rozic, John, has seemed to have moved a lot freer this afternoon than we've seen him in recent weeks.
Yes, and his experience telling too, Mike, isn't it? Same with Henderson sweeping for Marconi. Maybe a bit slower, both those players, but read the game so well.
Now Shane Clinch. Still Shane Clinch. Kept getting some terrible bobbles there, Shane Clinch, as he was trying to get that one across. There really is a bit of a lottery out there on this pitch. And it's not a help to players like Nastevski. Just hooking that one out. Another throw for Sydney, Croatia. Over the head of Henderson. Now Shane Clinch. And wide there from Shane Clinch. So as we wait for this goal kick to be taken, let's cross now to Andy Pascalides.
Gerry, what happened, mate?
I suppose I lost my cool there. And, Robbie had the ball, and I kicked it, and I went for the tackle, and crossed the ball, and I hit him.
He deserved a red.
I thought he deserved yellow card, but no red card.
What about your team now? How do you think the game will sway?
Well, I don't feel really good because I sort of let the team down a bit, but hopefully they'll come through and win it.
Okay, all the best, Gerry.
Thanks.
So away there by Graham Arnold. Here's Frank Farina. Good spell this from Marconi. Plenty of players forward. Still Frank Farina. Stopped there by Arnold. Now Lamond. Time for Robbie Slater to chase, but the ball goes out of play. So Manis Lamond starting to have more of an influence in this second half, as is that man Robbie Slater. Now Catholis. Graham Jennings there penalised for using his arm. Free kick to Marconi. 25 metres out of goal. So Nastevski and Gray, Catholis. 3 free kick specialists in this Marconi side. Croatia have pulled everybody back. So Nastevski, who scored some spectacular goals from about this range. It's the player who takes it against the wall. Now this time Manis Lamond is going to get penalised for leaving the wall too quickly.
Well, it's what should happen every time, isn't it, Mike? They're supposed to be 10 or 10 yards, old terminology, from the ball. Players never are. But that's the first time we've seen it pulled up. It happened at the other end, and the kick wasn't retaken. Dangerous for Croatia here.
Nastevski. Brilliant save by Tony Franken. The former Socceroo keeper there covers himself in glory. Great save this though, John.
Yes, it bends around the wall. Nastevski an expert at that, but what a great save from Franken.
So Marconi have got a corner. Cathalis. Away there by Slater. Now Calderan. Away by Rozic. Calderan again. Now Cathalis into the side netting. Came quickly to Peter Cathalis, who's only scored once so far this season. Had a snap at his shot. Put it into the side netting. Some good pressure here though, John, from Marconi.
Yes, it's their period at the moment, but that one was well wide. Franken did have it covered.
Marconi though there with plenty of players forward. It was always an awkward angle.
It's going to be a real battle now, Mike, mentally and physically. Both teams reduced to 10 men. It's been quite warm out there. A game played at a very fast pace. The prospect of extra time.
All the matches in this playoff series, with the exception of last week's Marconi-Wollongong match, have gone into extra time. Sydney Croatia, of course, had a week off last weekend. As Carter again beats Slater for the ball. Slater wins it back. And then switches play and tries to pick out Graham Arnold, and does so. Now Arnold, faced by Calderan. Still Graham Arnold. Showing signs of tiredness there. And Steve Calderan leads the charge for Marconi. Managed Lamond, the player, chasing back. Now David Lowe. That's intercepted by Wally Savor. Good run this from Savor. And Savor there, looking for the free kick. In fact, a corner's been given.
Very disappointed at missing out and going to the Olympics, one of our regulars. But, what can the coaches do but go on medical advice, Mike?
Clinch with the corner, and safely taken there by Bobby Catlin. And a good throw, picks out David Lowe. Now watch this, 14 minutes left of regular time. Vedran, Rozic there, the last line of defence, and that was a good challenge on Ian Gray. Now Farina, faced by Graham Jennings. Still Frankie Farina. Still Farina, laying this one back. Peter Cathalis. Still Cathalis trying to make that yard of space. And eventually Croatia with so many bodies back, but they still can't get it away. Here's Farina. Now Gray. Spreading it wide. Carter's come forward. Still Paul Carter cutting this one across. Away by Wally Savor. Helped on its way there by Hunter. And here comes Robbie Slater. Paul Carter, the player in pursuit. Hunter. Good challenge that from Carter. Breaks nicely now for Peter Cathalis. Carter stayed down on that far side. Cathalis cuts inside. Now Nastevski. Nastevski trying the shot. That's charged down by Vedran Rozic. And Vedran Rozic there going into the back of Zlatko Nastevski. So a free kick to Marconi. Quite a flurry there, John, with...
Well, there's so much space now, Mike, isn't there? Down to 10 men, end-to-end stuff. I mean, I think we just have to pay tribute to both teams on very difficult circumstances. End-to-end stuff.
Crowd of 17,064 here this afternoon. This grand final. As Farina comes to the near post, and nobody picked him up, and he plays it into the side netted. The free kick was simply taken in the end, John, and it caught everybody out.
Yes, the experience of Cathalis and Nastevski, particularly at free kicks, taking them quickly. And there's Farina being picked up with the early run. Perhaps could have done a little bit better with that, Frankie.
So Bertie Mariani.
A quick free kick, Mike, always will cause problems for defence.
Now David Lowe trying to spread it wide. Clinch. Now Wheatley coming forward. Cathalis trying the shot. Didn't get the power that he wanted, Peter Cathalis. So Tony Franken. 110 matches now in the West End National Soccer League. Player who started his career at Canberra, originally from Perth. Now Clinch. And that one forward, looking for Lamond. Steve Calderan, the player, coming across. Steve Calderan's had such a strong game at the back this afternoon for Marconi. Of course, he popped up front to score that all-important goal for them. Slater, faced by Carter again. These two have been inseparable this afternoon. Still Slater, looking that one across. Follis there, missed kicks. Now Jennings. Lamond. Jennings getting behind the defence, hooking that one across off the head there of Paul Carter. And John, there are signs there's some very tired boys out there.
And they're going to be tighter, Mike. All the possibilities of being extra time. But there again was the beauty of Jennings being able to overlap. Once you can get to that byline, there's always trouble for Marconi.
Now Clinch, curling that one in. Fisted away there by Catlin. Now Carter. Only as far though as Jennings. Now Arnold. Now Hunter. The offside flag up. It won't count. And I think Alan Hunter knew deep down it wasn't going to count either. But interesting, John, that Alan Hunter's practically playing now as an old-fashioned centre forward.
I was just going to say, if you had to rate the forwards this afternoon, Alan Hunter would probably be number one. He's been causing more problems to Marconi defence than anyone else. He's had some good strikes on goal, got the goal, and they're unfortunately offside.
Now Lamond. Lamond whipping this one across. Slater getting him. Still Robbie Slater. Slater blocked in the end by Steve Calderan. He wanted a bit too long, and he wasn't going to get that time from the defenders. But chances now, John, at both ends.
And they're going to be more, Mike. There's just so many spaces now. Both teams getting a little bit tired. One wonders how much the smoke put Robbie Slater off here.
Again, good defending from Steve Calderan. So Robbie Slater to take this corner. Hunter's forward, so's Mark Jones. He's moved forward as well for the first time this afternoon. As that comes off the head of Frank Farina. Away there by Catholis. Lamond lets that one run out of play, takes the throw quickly. Mark Jones had stayed forward. Frank Farina had gone back with him. Some of these players this afternoon have really taken their marking jobs to the absolute limit. And there's the feeling that they could finish up. If one goes out tonight, the other one will go with them. Here's Catholis. Nastevski tries to play that inside. It came off of Arnold. Now Catholis. Ian Gray with some space. Here's Lowe. That one easily cut out by Vedran Rozic. Away that time with his right foot. Wheatley. Now Lowe. He's stopped there by Wally Savor. Follis. Wheatley. Slater got in there quickly. Now Hunter. Slater. Game faced by Paul Carter. Still Robbie Slater. Now Hunter. Trying to play the 1-2 with Slater, and Carter was there. Just touching it back to Bobby Catlin. Peter Catholis. Wally Savor there. Not buying the dummy from David Lowe. Now Arnold. Faced there by Wheatley. Still Arnold. Jennings. Slater. Jennings again on the overlap. Jennings with the cross. That came off of Wheatley. Marconi there, only too pleased to concede the corner. But John, Jennings now causing all sorts of problems getting behind those defenders.
Well, again, it's the loss of Gomez. There's nobody to contain Jennings now on that flank. Seeningham warming up.
Clinch with the corner. Away there by Gray. Now Jennings. David Lowe, the player, chasing back. Still Lowe. Good play there from David Lowe, and it gets a good round of applause from this very appreciative crowd. Nastevski. Both sides now starting to warm up substitutes. Seeing Ingham, Craig Foster warming up for Sydney Croatia, Fred de Jong warming up for Marconi. Catholis, just wide there from Peter Catholis. Peter Catholis' only goal this year was in the playoffs against his old club Sydney Olympic. He's gone close a couple of times this afternoon. That wasn't too far wide either, John. Well worth the effort.
No, Cat's using his experience very well this afternoon, having a fine game, even though Franken had that covered. You've always got to have a dip at opportunities like this. It does bend a little bit. One wonders, Mike, with Ingham and Foster warming up, whether it's just a precaution should the match go into extra time. I think Croatia would be foolish to make a change at the moment. Lamond's coming more into the game. With the possibility of extra time, I think it's always good to have the option to be able to bring two players on in extra time to freshen your team up. Marconi, of course, can only bring one on. They've already made one substitution. That would give a slight advantage to Sydney Croatia.
Well, our watch now, we're into the final 5 minutes of normal time. Marconi won, Sydney Croatia won. Now Clinch. Away there by Steve Calderan. Catholis. Still Peter Catholis. Not the best of balls, easily intercepted there by Slater, who eludes that challenge from Catholis. Now Catholis again. Wheatley. Now Lowe. Space in which to run David Lowe. Trying the shot. Finishes up wide there from David Lowe. Of course, David Lowe and Tony Franken, both members of the 1983 World Youth Championship side. Franken there watches that one go harmlessly past the post. Now Calderan. And that one through, eludes everybody. So it's looking more and more like extra time. Mariani, who saw his side take the lead in the first half, brought back onto level terms in the second half. With Robbie Slater there is penalised for doing some pulling on Paul Carter. Robbie Slater, 168 appearances now in the West End National Soccer League, a career that started at St George, a spell at Blacktown before joining Sydney Croatia. I think, John, it's good to see so many young fans here this afternoon.
Yes, both clubs are very strong on that element, aren't they, Mike, with their junior teams, and with the kids not playing today, of course, they're able to come to watch the game. I think it's another, without dwelling on it, it's another reason why we should go to summer with the National League. It's impossible during the winter months with the kids playing to come and support the National Soccer League. But with the National League in the summer months, of course, it's possible for them to do that.
Now Farina. Faced there by Mark Jones, still Farina cutting this one back, and David Lowe tried the cheekiest of chips. If that had gone in, that would have been the goal of the season. It would certainly have been the goal that has sorted out this match. Look at that, just couldn't get it on target. He's such a talented player, David Lowe. He's a player that's often forgotten, John, but such a prolific goal scorer over the years.
It's another good run from Farina. Mark Jones is having really well marked this afternoon, but Farina's specialising now in those types of situation, able with the little dummy to create that fraction of space to get the cross in.
And interesting that Frank Farina has moved more out to the flanks. He started off the game, of course, going through the middle, John, but I think he's appreciating the better surface on the flanks. Only slightly better, let's say, but he seems to be appreciating it a lot more.
But again, the lack of one player on each side is giving all players a little bit more room. And they're all appreciating it.
Paul Carter was the player in the way, but he got through. Slater had a clear run on goal. So Steve Calderan. Now Ian Gray. Spreading it wide, Paul Carter. This time there's some space in which to operate. Playing this one in, much too close to the keeper. No worries at all there for Tony Franken. Now Lamond. Our watch now, we're into the final 60 seconds of normal time. So it seems that the grand final We'll be going into extra time. Or will it? Here's Nastevski. Still Nastevski. Coming inside, trying to make that space. Still Nastevski. Trying the shot, it comes off a Shane Clinch, so a corner for Marconi. Zlatko Nastevski, 13 goals so far this season. Nastevski, who's come more and more into this game in the second half. Marconi supporters now in fine voice as they try to inspire their side. Away that time by Hunter. Now Graham Arnold. The only player up in support is Robbie Slater. Arnold trying to play that one through the middle. Wheatley got there before Lamond. Now Tony Henderson. Now watch now, we've played 30 seconds of stoppage time. Mark Jones with the highest of the afternoon. Now Wally Savor just hooking that one forward. Tholas. Wheatley again coming forward in support. Still Robbie Wheatley. Vedran Rozic. So cool in that situation. Now Shane Clinch. Just a bit too much weight on that ball. Throw for Marconi. Again, a check of the watches from referee Chris Bambridge. Away this time by Mark Jones. Another check of the watches, and there's the final whistle after 90 minutes. And we're now into an extra time situation. Referee Chris Bambridge, who had a busy second half, sending off Gerry Gomez and Petkovic, which reduced both sides down to 10 men. But really now a test for both of these sides, a test of stamina. So we'll be back with all the action of extra time. The full-time scoreline after 90 minutes is Marconi 1, Sydney Croatia 1, and we'll be back after this break. So welcome back to the 1988 Grand Final as we prepare to start the first period of extra time. Marconi 1, Sydney Croatia 1. And during the break, Sydney Croatia have made one substitution with Wally Savor, the player, going off. Craig Foster, wearing the number 12 shirt, is the player that's come on. So 30 minutes of extra time, and if we don't get a decision, then it'll be decided by penalty kicks. Here's Craig Foster, his first touch since coming on as a substitute, and Robbie Slater. Sides kicking the same way in the first period of extra time that they kicked, in fact, in the second half. Now Graham Jennings. Really now a battle of fitness. One has the feeling there that Marconi, who have played regularly every week, might just have that hardened match fitness, whereas Croatia had a week off last week. As that comes off for Tony Henderson, Sydney Croatia get the first corner of extra time. And it's Lamond, 22 years old. Players had an outstanding season. So Lamond with the corner. Arnold with the header. Away there by Carter. Frank Farina back helping his defenders. Can't get away from Alan Hunter. Feels that he should have got the throw in there. Alan Hunter, who's been reckoned by some of the experts around here to be the best forward on the field this afternoon. And certainly Johnny's looked good going forward.
Yes, had a big game in attack, Alan Hunter, this afternoon. But the extra time period, Mike, I've seen Marconi twice in this series come their experience show in extra time against Sydney Olympic in the elimination semi-final, then against South Melbourne. Then you'd favour them this afternoon on that basis. I just simply hope the game doesn't go to penalties. I think it's never a very satisfactory way to decide a final, certainly not a national championship. And neither side here this afternoon deserves for it to be decided in that manner.
Nastevski's the player down. Rather a clumsy challenge from Alan Hunter. He fell awkwardly, as you can see there. Looks like he fell on his shoulder, but he's back on his feet. Free kick is taken. Now Henderson. Frank Farina there holding back Mark Jones. Frank Farina, one of the stars, of course, of the 1983 World Youth Championship side. Mark Jones, Australian representative in the 1985 World Youth Championships in the Soviet Union. Frank Farina. This could be his final game for Marconi. Rumours are that he's off overseas, straight after Australia's participation in the Olympic Games in Seoul. I must say, John, that will be a great loss to Australian soccer to lose not only Frank Farina, but all the players we've already lost.
Well, we lost about 14, haven't we? And until we can offer our young players a lot more here in terms of professionalism and finance, of course, comes into it for young people. Until we can offer that, we're going to lose them in ever-increasing numbers.
Now Gray, that came off of Jennings. So a throw on the far side to Marconi. Follis. For Frank Farina to chase. Graham Arnold's the player back. In fact, it's Ian Gray who's made a run forward over there. Now Catholis. Stopped there by Vedran, Rozic and Alan Hunter, and it's Hunter who plays that one forward. Now Graham Jennings. It's a space in which to operate, playing that one forward. And Robbie Slater there, allegedly offside, one would say. It really didn't look a good decision, did it, John?
No, I didn't think he was off. I thought the linesman perhaps reacted a little bit to the Marconi defence, who put their hand up claiming offside. But I certainly didn't feel when the ball was delivered that Slater was off. He looks in an offside position there, perhaps. When the ball was delivered, he certainly wasn't.
Now Calderan. Catholis. Still Peter Catholis. That one much too high. Opportunities in this period of extra time. Going to be at a premium. Worrying times for coaches. But Bertie Mariani, whatever the outcome of this afternoon, has had a tremendous season. The youngest coach in the National Soccer League, just 32 years old. He's taken Marconi through to the grand final. Marconi's only other appearance in a grand final was back in 1978 when they finished runners-up to Sydney City. They won the league championship in 1979. They won the cup in 1980. Now Lamond. Still Manus Lamond. David Lowe, the player, chasing back. Still Lamond. Faced now by Carter. Playing that one across. Too far ahead of Graham Arnold and much too close to the keeper. 5 minutes gone now in this first period of extra time. Still Marconi 1, Sydney, Croatia 1. Farina. Now Lowe. Nastevski. Ian Gray. Lowe. Way there by Mark Jones, straight to Nastevski. And Farina there can't get round Arnold, and Catholis can't get away from Jones. Wheatley. Marconi with plenty of players forward at the moment. Farina, faced there by Mark Jones. Jones does enough. Now Graham Arnold. And Arnold trying to play that one forward for Robbie Slater. Graham Arnold. He had a busy game this afternoon. He's popped up everywhere across this pitch. Regular for the Winfield Socceroos, Graham Arnold. 37 appearances in the green and gold. He scored 19 goals. Leading goal scorer, of course, this season for Sydney, Croatia, with 10. Now Foster. Fresh pair of legs. Certainly be important. Both sides have got one more substitute to use, and both sides, in fact, have got strikers as substitutes. Fred de Jong for Marconi, who's been warming up now for about 25 minutes. Sean Ingham, former Australian Youth International, still on the bench for Sydney, Croatia. Marconi have got a free kick. It has to be taken by Paul Carter. Way there by Graham Arnold. Ian Gray tries to nod it wide. And Farina can't keep it in play. So Lamond, the long throw, picking out Slater. Placed the game by Paul Carter. Still Slater. Craig Foster's made a good run forward. Still Slater. Slater, that was rather ambitious. Paul Carter was available, or in fact one should say Craig Foster was available. He made a good run. I think Slater here, John, that was nearly impossible to score from that range.
Yes, Foster was the player on, wasn't he, Mike? It's easy for us to say sitting here. Robbie worked himself into the position, felt that the curve shot was on. But again, I felt the ball bobble just a little bit before he struck it. So you get the feeling, Mike, that Marconi's experience is starting to exert itself now. Slightly more experienced. De Jong to come on would give them some power in the air. And of course, Ingham to come on for Croatia would give them the speed, which would expose a few weary legs out there.
And Slater again. Slater trying to pull that one back this time. Screwed off the side of his boot.
As the players are getting tired, the mistakes are coming in increasing numbers. The skill level goes once both the mind and the body get tired. And we've seen some perfect examples of that in the last few minutes. Players that cross from Robbie Slater normally wouldn't be of such poor quality.
Now Mark Jones can't keep it in on that far side, so a throw. Exactly what you were saying, Johnny. Players starting to get tired. They're making a few elementary mistakes. Players might be getting tired. The fans certainly aren't. Marconi still with plenty of support. David Lowe penalised for that push. Fred de Jong again starts to warm up for Marconi. Fred de Jong, the New Zealand international who joined Marconi at the start of the 1988 season. Now Lowe. Mark Jones with a good intercept. And tied it up in the end and all the way back to Tony Franken. Now Graham Jennings, and some space on that far side in which to operate. Throw goes to Marconi. Ian Gray wants to take it quickly. There's nobody available. Now Nastevski's made the run. Puts that one back in. And easily cut out by Vedran Rozic. Hunter. A long one forward, looking for Slater. Carter lets that one, just touches that one out of play. Throw again for Sydney Croatia, quickly taken this time by Slater. Here comes Alan Hunter. Trying to play that one through for Graham Arnold. Steve Calderan was the player who was in the way for Marconi, and now Catholis. Now David Lowe, still full of running. Nastevski. Now Gray. Farina. Marconi now, plenty of players forward. This is Frank Farina. And the ball, in fact, had gone out of play. But Marconi there, John, had 5 players forward.
Yes, Cat having a great game for Marconi. Made the move there, the dribble in the midfield, a little flick inside. And setting Farina up, the ideal position Farina likes, to give him the space to take someone on just inside the box. I felt there was a slight push there from Mark Jones, perhaps not enough for a penalty. Again, it's this time of the game, Mike, where the experienced players like Catholis got to exert their influence, make the ball do the work.
Now Lamond. It came off the heel of Slater, but it bounces nicely in the end for Graham Jennings. Now Hunter. Coming forward yet again. Square ball. Here comes Craig Foster. Showed too much of that to Steve Calderan. Gave the Marconi defender enough time to get the challenge in. So 2.5 minutes to go in this first period of extra time. The teams will change straight round after 15 minutes. There's no break between the two halves. And it's Lamond with the long throw. Off the head there of Steve Calderan. Forward by Nastevski. Now Lowe. Clinch was the player in the way. Shane Clinch, one of the unsung heroes of Sydney, Croatia. Ever since he's joined them, in fact, in 1984, never quite got the recognition that he deserves. But a player that always proves to be a player who gives 110%. A player certainly appreciated by other players and coaches, although sometimes not by the fans. Catholis. Stopped there by Arnold. Now Lamond. Trying to play that one back inside for Graham Arnold. Steve Calderan read the situation well. Plays that one off Manus Lamond. Throw goes to Marconi. Steve Calderan, who opened the scoring after 39 minutes. Nastevski. Farina. Still Farina. Still Farina. Good challenge in the end from Vedran Rozic. The ball out of play from Mark Jones. Alan Hunter there screaming at Mark Jones to have played it simply to him. He had a lot of space. Hunter with the challenge. Forward by Carter for Marconi. Now Farina. Shane Clinch, the player, in the way. And a good ball out from Graham Arnold. Sets Manus Lamond on his way. Placed there by Henderson. Lamond releasing Hunter. And Hunter there not collecting that the way he wanted. But that was a lovely ball and a lovely move, that, John, from Sydney, Croatia. And
yes.
Hunter should have done better.
A fine ball from Manus Lamond. Marconi getting caught again. They're claiming offside. I don't think it was. And probably the best opportunity Hunter's had. Catlin again narrows the angle. There's Lamond, good ball. Doubt it was offside.
Alan Hunter denied at one end. And Tony Franken called into action at the other. As Marconi make their second substitution, Fred de Jong is the player that comes on. And David Lowe is the player that goes off. Purely a tactical move, that. Fred de Jong, the New Zealand international. 3 goals so far this season. Is the player that comes on right on the stroke of half-time. Players will change straight round, no break. So for Marconi, John, really the last throw of the dice with Fred de Jong coming on.
Yes, well, again, Mike, I hope it's not decided on penalties. I think both teams have done enough over almost 30 matches throughout the season to have the whole national title decided on penalties. To me is very unfair. I hope it's decided in the next 15 minutes.
So with 15 minutes to go, Marconi 1, Sydney, Croatia 1. The fans still in good spirits here this afternoon, and one must say there's been plenty of action for the fans, perhaps not the classic file that we expected, but I think a lot of that can be put down to what really is a very second-rate pitch.
I think both teams have got to be complimented, Mike, on the quality of their game in very unbearable circumstances. Their commitment's been tremendous. The skill level, considering the conditions, has been excellent. End-to-end stuff. Type of exciting football that the fans here have certainly appreciated.
Marconi get the second half of extra time underway. Fred de Jong there penalised for doing some holding. So Graham Jennings. Arnold. Tried to let that one go and the ball just bounced up and hit him on the leg. Now Gray. Follis. Peter Gatholis, and caught in possession there by Foster. Slater. Now Foster. Playing that one forward. Nobody there for Sydney, Croatia. No worries at all for Tony Henderson. Again with those spotless white shorts. As Tony Henderson was telling us, the sweeper finishes up with spotless white shorts. It means he's had a good game. Tony Henderson's game must have been brilliant this afternoon. I think you'll agree, John, he hasn't put a foot wrong.
No, he's had, like Rozic at the other end there, experience has really told. Very cool and calm. And Hendo, like Vedran Rozic, had a tremendous game this afternoon.
Now Wheatley. Still Robbie Wheatley. Fred de Jong closed down there quickly by Vedran Rozic. Gray. Now Foster, good intercept. Now he's got Slater ahead. He's also got Arnold ahead, but it needed a much better ball than that. He played it straight to Paul Carter. Alan Hunter. Calderan winning that challenge in the air. Follis, Calderan, Jennings, now Lamond, Nastevski, Fred de Jong, chipping that one over the defence. Here's Frank Farina. Farina, still Farina battling away. And the dive by Nastevski doesn't fool referee Chris Bambridge. One of the better dives, John, I think we've seen this afternoon.
I think Chris was in a good position to see whether this was penalty or not this afternoon. We'll have a better look perhaps from this angle. It did appear to me as though Franken did catch Nastevski afterwards. Oh yes, there's a catch there.
Wheatley. Gray. Calderan's come forward. Now Nastevski finding some space on that far side. The whip across, and a good take there by Tony Franken. Nastevski there found some space on the touchline. Such a good crosser of the ball, and the goalkeeper here, John, does so well.
Good positive keeping by Franken. Attacks the ball, cuts out the danger.
Now Lamond. Slater. Arnold's forward, so's Manis Lamond. Still Robbie Slater. Twisting and turning, getting that one across. Lamond! Manis Lamond! Goal number 10 of the season. And the Sydney Croatia supporters go wild. Croatia take the lead. Joy on the bench, joy on the terraces. The Manis Lamond, goal number 10. And it came after 108 minutes. Croatia fans celebrate. But Robbie Slater here, John, so instrumental.
Yes, creates his space here. Marconi be a bit sick about the defending there. They should have got to it first. And a great goal from Manis Lamond. Just enough touch to beat Catlin. Well done, Robbie Slater. Looks, makes the space here, marked by two men. Manis gets that all-important touch, jumps early, able to elude the defender. But full marks to Robbie Slater. We've been saying Manis has had a quiet game. Well, this goal will certainly make up for the quietness that he's had this afternoon. Good early jump from Lamond to perhaps give them the winner.
108 minutes gone. Marconi 1, Sydney Croatia 2. So the scene set now for an outstanding final 10 minutes. Carter there forcing his way through. Nastevski with a shot right across the face of goal. And cleared eventually by Mark Jones. Hugs there from his goalkeeper, Tony Franken. But Mark Jones, the youngster who started his career in Newcastle, was the player there who came to the rescue of Sydney Croatia. Marconi 1, Sydney Croatia 2. There are 10 minutes left. Calderan there with the header. The ball loose, but it falls now for Slater. Gets it away from the danger area. Henderson, the player there for Marconi. Throw for Sydney Croatia. They'll be in no hurry to take this. Tony Henderson, who wanted to go out a winner his final match this afternoon in the National Soccer League. A career that started back in 1977. Now Foster. Slater up in support. Chipping that one in. Manis Lamond. Still Lamond. And the goal kick is given. So Manis Lamond, who's had his best ever goal scoring season. 9 goals coming into the grand final. And one here this afternoon that could prove to be so vital. Plenty to cheer about now for the Sydney Croatia supporters. And Croatia getting tremendous support from this big crowd here at the Parramatta Stadium. They've got a throw in. Clinch is the player that comes across. The Croatia supporters now in fine voice. Slater. Still Slater. That came off at Carter. Another throw for Sydney Croatia. Manis Lamond. unable to keep that one in. He's slid at the most inopportune time. This is the third meeting this season between these two sides. Croatia won at the Croatian Sports Centre by 3 goals to 2. Finished up in a 1-1 draw at the Marconi Stadium. That was back in April. As Alan Hunter gets that one forward. The case now for Sydney Croatia, if anywhere will do, just keeping it away from the danger area. Now Lamond. Foster trying to spread it wide. Robbie Wheatley there got an awkward bounce. Shane Clinch got in. The ball goes out of play. Throw for Marconi. Another throw for Marconi. Robbie Wheatley got up gingerly from that challenge. Chance of Croatia all around the Parramatta Stadium. Just over the halfway point now of this second period of extra time. Alan Hunter now's dropped back to mark this man, Fred de Jong, who's won a corner that came off of Graham Jennings. Graham Jennings, 240 matches now in the West End National Soccer League, formerly, of course, of Sydney Olympic, as was this man, Peter Catholis. Catholis with the corner. The header down, and a brilliant reflex save there from Tony Franken. It seemed that if it had gone past the keeper, and Franken there reacted like a cat. It was a well-floated corner, and it was Nastevski who came in late, seemed to get it past the keeper, and Franken here does so well. The ball's past him, he dives back and takes it safely. It saves like that, John, that win grand finals.
Yeah, fabulous save from Franken. Reflex save.
Hunter with the clearance. Now Gray. And that wasn't too far wide. In fact, it took a deflection. Well worth the effort here from Ian Gray.
Tremendous shot from Ian Gray. He's had a great game this afternoon. Catches the foot as it goes through.
Corner taken. It's cleared off the line twice, and it hit the post as well. It's a charmed life back there at the moment for Sydney Croatia. Graham Arnold knows how close that was. We'll have a look at that again in a minute. But Croatia there had luck and had charm on their side. It wouldn't go across the line for Marconi, who have now got a free kick, which they try to take too quickly. Throw goes to Sydney Croatia. We can have a look at that again now. Ball cleared off the line. It ricochets around. Eventually Graham Arnold can get it to clear, but just before that, it also thumped against the woodwork. Sydney Croatia now making their second substitution. Ingham is the player to come on, and Manis Lamond, whose goal could win the grand final, is the player that comes off. So Ingham comes on with 5 minutes left to play. As we look at that incident again, there's the one that thumps against the post. Nastevski can't get it over the line. Hunter clears, and eventually Graham Arnold can get it away to safety. Now, Calderan, Henderson, got an awkward bobble as he tried to play that one forward. Foster gets it forward and releases Robbie Slater. Ingham's made a run through the middle. Still Slater. Getting this one across. Nobody at the far post for Sydney Croatia. Fred de Jong was the player back for Marconi. Still de Jong. Now Hunter, giving that one away, Nastevski. And Frank Farina's got behind Jones. And what's referee Chris Bambridge given is a penalty. Marconi have got a penalty with 3.5 minutes of extra time left. Mark Jones is going to get the yellow card. It seems to be a very clumsy challenge. Mark Jones goes into the referee's book. Marconi have got a penalty. with 3.5 minutes of extra time left to play. Bernie Mariani looks on, not showing any emotion, but knowing now that his side have got the chance to come back. It was a long ball forward, and Frank Farina got away from Mark Jones. Nastevski's the player to take the penalty. So Tony Franken, Nastevski with the penalty, and scores! Zlatko Nastevski, his 14th goal of the season, his first from the penalty spot, ties this game up on level terms. The Marconi supporters celebrate. Nastevski gets his 14th goal, but then we can have a look at the instant again. Mark Jones there is all over Frank Farina. It really was a clumsy challenge. But Frank Farina throws himself down. Referee Chris Bambridge, you can see there he's ideally placed, points immediately to the spot. And from that point on, Nastevski did everything that was required, sent Frank in the wrong way. And with 2.5 minutes left, Marconi 2, Sydney Croatia 2. So what a grand final, John.
Fabulous grand final. I think it was a penalty. If anything, it did make up. I felt a bit earlier, Nastevski a little unlucky not to get a penalty. But a criticism of Jones, and I know we've harped on it all year, you shouldn't bring players down outside the box. If he was going to foul, it should have been done outside. But probably I said the game shouldn't go to penalties to decide the national championship. But on what both these sides have done today, perhaps there's little separating them.
Here's Ingham, whipping this one across, away by Steve Calderan. Just 90 seconds left on our watch. Now Ingham. Jennings. Now Mark Jones. Catholis, who's worked so hard this afternoon, getting away from that challenge from Jones. And a case there of tired legs as he plays that one over the sideline for a throw-in. So a throw for Sydney Croatia. Craig Foster. Graham Jennings on that far side. Placed there by Carter. Still Graham Jennings. Still Jennings. Still Graham Jennings. Now Clinch. Slater. Slater cuts inside. Dispossessed there by Wheatley. Hunter forward. Shane Clinch completely unmarked, trying to drive that one across quickly. Fred de Jong was the player back. Getting the way to safety. Hunter. We're now playing stoppage time at the end of extra time. Wheatley. Wide for Catholis. Still Peter Catholis. Gray. Now Tony Henderson comes forward. First time this afternoon. Nastevski. Throw goes to Sydney Croatia. So there's the final whistle. The 1988 grand final is going to be decided on a penalty shootout. And John, I suppose after a long season that started back in January, it does seem a disappointing way to decide the national championship.
Well, it's an unsatisfactory way to decide the national championship, but I think this afternoon, congratulations to both sides, Marconi and Sydney Croatia, in unplayable conditions to turn on such an exciting match there. For me, the two best sides in Australia this year. A super match, played in tremendous spirit. One could argue that Petkovic only deserved a yellow, not a red. Likewise with Gomez. One could argue on the Slater penalty, the Nastevski penalty, or the last decision. But I think that last decision also, Mike, showed the experience of Frank Farina. A lot of players would have perhaps fallen outside the box. He carried on and got the foul inside. Jones will dispute it. I felt it was a penalty and does make up for the Nastevski penalty, which perhaps should have been earlier. But now to penalties, unsatisfactory way to finish the national championship, but it's been a tremendous match, and I congratulate both sides for what the entertainment value that they've put on here this afternoon. The crowds thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think again, for those that doubt the grand final system as the way of deciding a national champion, I think today has proved conclusively that this is the way the fans want to decide who is our top team in the country.
So after 120 minutes, Marconi 2, Sydney Croatia 2, the game will be decided on penalty kicks. So it all comes down to penalties. The first one to be taken by Sydney Croatia, to be taken by Graham Arnold. So Bobby Catlin faces Graham Arnold. Croatia take the lead with the first penalty. So Bobby Catlin given no chance with that first penalty from Graham Arnold. Keeper goes one way, Arnold puts the ball the other way. So Croatia have the advantage. The second penalty, the first for Marconi, now to be taken by Ian Gray. Nerve-wracking time for penalty takers, but also for goalkeepers. So Ian Gray. Franken goes one way, the ball goes the other. It's even Steven at 1-1. 2 penalties, 2 goals. Ian Gray there, falling Tony Franken. And Slater now steps forward. Ian Gray giving Tony Franken no chance. Of course, Sydney Croatia got through to the grand final by defeating Wollongong on penalties. Graham Arnold scored that day, and so did this man, Robbie Slater, who steps up for the third penalty. And it's saved. Robbie Slater misses. Bobby Catlin, the hero for the Marconi supporters. But Catlin there moving before the ball was kicked. But Bobby Catlin, the hero for Marconi, as Robbie Slater, who scored against Wollongong a fortnight ago in the penalty shootout, this afternoon is denied. So now Frank Farina steps forward. Frank Farina, who scored from the penalty spot earlier this season, and that was against, ironically, Sydney Croatia. Again faced by Tony Franken. Farina, Marconi now have an advantage. Frank Farina, 17 goals so far in the regular season, has given Marconi advantage now in this penalty shootout. Franken guessed the right way, but couldn't keep it out. So Graham Jennings,
You'll kick, Graham.
not known as a prolific goal scorer, Graham Jennings.
Hey, Graham.
Scored just once this season. That was against Apia on Match of the Day. Facing there, Bobby Catlin. And Jennings scores. So that penalty missed by Robbie Slater, the only one missed so far. Jennings sends Catlin the wrong way. So Robbie Wheatley started this game as a substitute. Came on after just 15 minutes. So Wheatley, and Tony Franken saves it. It's all tied up again. Both sides have missed a penalty. Tony Franken there, guess right. A brilliant save there by the keeper. Robbie Wheatley scored a couple of goals this season. It's denied. And it's all tied up. 3 penalties each. One team has missed one. So 2-2 on penalties. 2-2 after extra time. Mark Jones also scored against Wollongong a fortnight ago in the penalty shootout, and does so this afternoon. Bobby Catlin there given absolutely no chance. And Mark Jones Plants that one nicely in the corner. And now Peter Catholis steps forward. Remember, both sides have got to take 5 penalties. If it's still tied after that, it then goes down to sudden death on penalties. So Peter Catholis, 3-3 on penalties. So it's down to the final penalty kicks. Peter Catholis there. Franken guesses right, gets his hand to it in fact, but can't keep it out. So the final penalty in the regulation 5 will be taken by Alan Hunter, who before this afternoon had scored just 2 goals this season, and both were from the penalty spot. And one of those was against Marconi when they met at the Croatian Sports Centre earlier this season. So Alan Hunter, faced there by Bobby Catlin. Catlin guessed right, got his hand to it, but couldn't keep it out. Sydney Croatia lead 4-3 on penalties. And the final penalty for Marconi in the regulation 5 will be taken by Nastevski. Catlin there guessed right, but couldn't keep it out. So Nastevski, so much pressure on him, he knows he's got to score. If he misses, it's all over. If he scores, it goes into sudden death. So Tony Franken, faced by Nastevski. Nastevski, Franken guessed right, but couldn't keep it out. So the regulation 5 penalties have been taken. That was the final one of them. Franken guessed right. He couldn't keep it out. Nastevski there just parting it wide of the keeper. So now we're down to sudden death. And Shane Clinch is the player who steps forward. Nerve-wracking now for players and for goalkeepers. One mistake could be fatal. And Shane Clinch hits the post. Now that means that if Marconi score from this penalty, and ironically it's Tony Henderson playing his final NSL match, is the player to step forward. But Shane Clinch sent Catlin the wrong way. It thumps against the woodwork. And that penalty miss could now be so vital. It gives Marconi the advantage, the Marconi the chance, and Tony Henderson is his final kick in the NSL going to produce a grand final winning goal. Tony Henderson there, faced by Tony Franken. And Tony Franken can't keep it out, and Tony Henderson, with his final kick in his NSL career, reached the 1988 Grand Final for Marconi. Smiles there for Bertie Mariani. And I would think the player he's going to go over and congratulate is Tony Henderson. Henderson, who came to Australia in 1977 to start with Canberra, moved to Marconi in 1979, was part of their championship winning team in that year, was part of their cup winning side in 1980. 51 appearances for Australia, a distinguished career that has played 296 matches. And with his last kick in NSL soccer, he's won the grand final for Marconi. No wonder those Marconi fans are celebrating. But John, one would have to say it's like a fairy tale finish. It's like something out of a boys' own annual. Tony Henderson decides to retire and with his last kick wins the grand final.
What a dream finish. And I must say, I was involved bringing Hendo to Australia in the early days of Canberra City. And he said on SBS during the week, they'd love to finish his career the same way as I finished, which was score the winning goal in a grand final. And that at the time seemed ridiculous, but here it is. And it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. He's been a great credit to the game in this country, not just to Canberra in the early days, but Marconi. And now he's calling it a day with a winning goal. And a word to Bertie Mariani as well, the youngest and only Australian coach to win a major title. A lot of criticism of Bertie being appointed at the start of the year. He's very emotional there, and he deserves it. He's just tackled the job, put his head down, and we must sympathise with Sydney, Croatia. again, it's an unsatisfactory way to finish a title, but congratulations Marconi, and also I think to Sydney, Croatia. They've made the entertainment today, and just hard luck that they've missed out at the final moment.
So the 1988 Grand Final decided on penalties. Joyous sounds there as Marconi are the 1988 winners. Let's cross now to Les Murray.
Well, thank you, Michael, and Johnny Warren has said it. What a poetic finish for Tony Henderson going out on that note. Well, buried in amongst all this jubilation and noise behind me is the fact that we've watched a thrilling grand final, 2.5 hours of fabulous football here today, and of course there'll be more of that when we review the action tomorrow night on Sport Report. The news coming right up, so in the meantime, this is Les Murray at the Parramatta Stadium wishing